Chapter 654. The news of Chu Kuangren and the other new emperors' return to the Black Heaven sect spread like wildfire across the entire firmament star. Every orthodoxy and forbidden area was shaken by the news. Then, another piece of news came from the Black Heaven sect. All orthodoxies were invited to witness the wedding of the new emperor, Wuxia. For a time, countless sects took action. The wedding of the new emperor. This could be said to be the happiest event in the last 100,000 years. Everyone wanted to join in the fun. The Black Heaven sect is really amazing this time. They managed to produce 3 new emperors all of a sudden. This is unbelievable. They're going to get married as soon as they come back. They're going to announce it to the whole world. Let's go. Let's go to the Black Heaven sect and have a look. We can't be unprepared for the wedding of the new emperor. Let's go look for some treasures first. It's fine if the new emperor doesn't like them. What's important is his sincerity. All the major forces in the firmament star began to get busy. Everyone wanted to show off in front of the new emperor and build a good relationship. On the day of Wuxia's wedding, the entire Black Heaven sect was decorated with lanterns and streamers. Hang the lanterns properly. Hang them in every building. There's also the red carpet. Lay it out for me. What's the meaning of walking the red carpet? Is there such a ceremony for cultivators to get married? Elder Ruyan directed the disciples to prepare for the wedding. Even though she was very busy, there was a smile on her face. It had been a long time since the Black Heaven sect was this lively. Not far away, Yang Shiyun and Wuxia watched on helplessly. Wuxia said, "We only wanted the sect leader to be our witness to our marriage. How dare he make such a big scene? Nonsense. Not only are you the new emperor, but you're also the Daoist of the Black Heaven sect. Of course, you have to put on a grand show. Besides, this marriage ceremony only happens once in a lifetime. The lady has entrusted her entire life to you. Do you want to settle it hastily? You have to do it beautifully." Elder Ruyan glared at Wuxia. Even though Wuxia had become a martial emperor, he still behaved like a junior in front of Elder Ruyan. He did not dare to talk back to her and could only laugh dryly. "Let me see what else I need to do." Elder Ruyan took out a small book. It was filled with Chu Kuangren's suggestions for the wedding. Ring? He even wants a pair of rings as a token of engagement. The sect leader sure has a lot of tricks, Elder Ruyan muttered. Then, she said to Wuxia, "Both of you, hurry up and look for a pair of rings. We'll need them for the wedding ceremony." "Oh, all right." Wuxia hurriedly nodded. Hey, that lantern is crooked." Elder Ruyan continued with her work. 3 days later. On the day of the wedding. 8-Wind Palace presents 10 10,000-year-old corals. The White Jade Tower will gift you 5,000 kilograms of white jade essence and 100 white jade belts. 10,000 Flowers Valley gifted me with 10 strange flowers. Quasi-Emperor Tian Shuang of the Netherworld Valley gifted me 10 pieces of profound ice. The sect masters of the various Daoist orthodoxies and quasi-emperors of the various forbidden lands also arrived. They all took out the congratulatory gifts that they had prepared. Ahem, I can't take it anymore. My throat is a little sore. At the reception area, a disciple coughed twice and passed the list in his hand to a disciple beside him. There were simply too many congratulatory gifts. Almost all the reputable forces and cultivators in the firmament star had come. In front of the longevity hall. All the orthodoxies sect leaders and cultivators had gathered in the hall. One table after another was placed next to another. It was an incredibly grand sight. "Everyone, I hope you've been well. 8-Wind Palace Lord, you're here too." "Yeah, how could I not be here for the new emperor's wedding?" "Elder Ruyan, your Black Heaven sect sure is lucky to have 3 new emperors in one go. We're so jealous. It's all thanks to our sect leader's leadership. Elder Ruyan and the others were busy dealing with the guests. At that moment, a person walked out of the longevity hall. He had black hair and was dressed in a white wide-sleeved robe. His handsome face was very familiar to everyone present. It was Chu Kuangren. Upon seeing him, everyone quickly stood up and bowed. "Greetings, sect leader Chu." "Greetings, sect leader Chu." Chu Kuangren smiled and said, "Everyone, please don't stand on ceremony. Today is a joyous day for the Black Heaven sect. Please enjoy your meal and drink to your heart's content." He glanced at Elder Ruyan who was beside him. She immediately understood. "Serve the wine." One by one, the disciples served the wine. In an instant, the fragrance of the wine mixed with a faint herbal aroma permeated the air. When the surrounding cultivators smelled the wine, they could not help but feel their spiritual power become restless. They could not help but be surprised. "What wine is this?" one of the cultivators asked in surprise as he took a sip from the wine cup. When the wine entered his throat, it was mellow and refreshing. Then, it turned into an incomparably pure spiritual energy that swept through his limbs and bones. It actually healed some of the hidden injuries in his body. Moreover, it also increased his spiritual energy by a large margin. "What a great wine! What a treasure!" the cultivator exclaimed. The others heard him and started to taste the wine. Gasps could be heard one after another. "This wine can heal injuries, increase spiritual power, and cleanse the body of impurities. Just this cup alone has healed the damaged meridians in my body. Isn't this amazing? It's incredible indeed. What a great treasure." The crowd stared at the wine jars before them with fiery eyes. Even some of the sages were amazed. "This spring rain wine is a small gift from me to all of you. I welcome everyone to the Black Heaven sect," Chu Kuangren said with a smile. The spring rain wine was a medicinal wine brewed by Chu Kuangren. He possessed the inheritance of a top-notch doctor, and the Black Heaven sect had many supreme elixirs and other resources. It was not difficult for him to brew such a wine. "Thank you, sect leader Chu. This wine is very useful to us." After all, a cultivator would suffer internal injuries if they made any mistakes in their cultivation, such as damaged meridians. Once these internal injuries accumulated to a certain extent, it would become a huge obstacle to the cultivator's path of cultivation. It could only be solved after becoming a sage and forming a sage's body. However, how many cultivators in the firmament star could become a sage? Chu Kuangren's spring rain wine was too useful to them. Besides healing injuries, it could also increase one's spiritual power. Jian Feng of the swordsman tribe is here to congratulate the new emperor on his wedding. At that moment, a calm voice rang from the sky. A golden ray of light suddenly descended from the sky. That was a sword. It was a sword that looked like it was forged from a single piece of gold. Daoist patterns flowed on the sword's body, and it emitted a terrifying aura. At that moment, it was like a meteorite falling from the sky towards the longevity hall. Countless cultivators felt a terrifying domineering aura. Even a boundary emperor found it hard to move under this domineering aura. It was extremely horrifying. What kind of power was this? Chu Kuangren squinted his eyes as he looked at the sword that was flying towards him. He then took a step forward, formed a sword finger, and slowly pointed it forward. When the tip of the sword and the tip of the finger collided, there was no earth-shattering impact. The crowd only saw the Daoist patterns on the longsword's body disintegrating, and the terrifying domineering aura gradually dissipated. In the end, the sword returned to its ancient appearance and was quietly held in Chu Kuangren's hand. The crowd took a closer look and realized that the sword had not been sharpened yet. Strictly speaking, it was just a sword embryo. In the void, a white-robed middle-aged man walked out and said, "Jian Feng of the swordsman tribe has gifted me a golden crescent sword embryo. Please accept it." Chapter 655. In the void, the white-robed middle-aged man looked at Chu Kuangren and said indifferently. Chu Kuangren glanced at him and placed the sword billet aside. He said, I thank the swordsman tribe for their gift. Since you're here, please take a seat. Then I won't stand on ceremony. The white-robed middle-aged man said. In a flash, he arrived at the banquet table. The cultivators around him quickly made way for him. Judging from his behavior, this man could very well be an emperor as well. With an emperor here, how could they afford to sit with him? Hence, Jian Feng occupied an entire table by himself. Chu Kuangren did not bother with him anymore. The wedding ceremony was about to begin. Now, let's welcome the newlyweds. Elder Rian said loudly. Suddenly, there was a surge of auspicious light in the sky. Then, two figures descended from the clouds. The man was tall and handsome while the woman had an exquisite face. Both of them were dressed in red, and they looked like a perfect match. Both of them landed on the red carpet and walked towards the longevity hall. Wherever the two of them went, there was an auspicious light flowing beneath their feet. The surrounding cultivators immediately stood up to congratulate them. Congratulations, congratulations. Congratulations on your marriage, Emperor. May the two of you live happily ever after. Murong Xian and Yang Shiyun walked towards Chu Kuangren with a red ribbon in their hands and looked at each other. Chu Kuangren coughed twice and said solemnly, Murong Xian, are you willing to take Yang Shiyun as your wife? No matter if she's poor or rich, beautiful or not, successful or not, you will love her, respect her, protect her, and be faithful to her for the rest of your life. Murong Xian nodded solemnly. I am. Yang Shiyun, are you willing to marry Murong Xian and let him be your husband? Regardless of whether you're poor or rich, beautiful or not, successful or unsuccessful, you're willing to love him, respect him, protect him, and be loyal to him for the rest of your life. Yang Shiyun blushed slightly. She then looked at Murong Xian and nodded seriously. I am. Very well. I hereby announce that the two of you may put the rings on each other and officially become husband and wife. Chu Kuangren smiled in satisfaction. Murong Xian. Yang Shiyun took out her ring and helped him put it on. In an instant, the heaven Dao seemed to have sensed it, and it sent down golden auspicious clouds that were accompanied by waves of profound sounds of the Dao to witness the marriage of the Grand Emperor. The ceremony is complete. The applause below the stage was thunderous. The great orthodoxies all congratulated him. At that point, Murong Xian and Yang Shiyun officially became Daoist partners under Chu Kuangren's witness. They would never leave each other for the rest of their lives. The banquet continued. Murong Xian and Yang Shiyun entertained the guests. In another place. Chu Kuangren, on the other hand, was the first to leave the arena. He arrived at a mountain peak where Jian Feng of the swordsman tribe had already left the arena and was waiting for him there. Fellow Daoist, aren't you going down for a drink? I don't like crowded places. Jian Feng said calmly as a surge of powerful emperor's aura gradually emanated from his body and locked onto Chu Kuangren. The reason why I've come to you today is to witness your strength. There's truly no end to the sword race and me. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. He had defeated Jian Daozi, an emperor, and above him was the emperor of the sword clan. One after another, he was starting to get annoyed. Don't worry. After today's battle, the grudge between you and the swordsman tribe will be written off. From now on, we will have nothing to do with each other. That better be the case. Let's draw our swords then. Whoosh! The Daoist patterns on Jian Feng's body surged and surged towards Chu Kuangren. It was a pure Daoist pattern without the addition of Emperor's Qi. Oh, do you want to spar? Chu Kuangren said calmly. Daoist patterns also surged on his body. When the two Daoist patterns collided in the void, a terrifying shockwave suddenly emerged and shook the void. Gradually, Jian Feng's Dao was suppressed by Chu Kuangren. In terms of realms, you're above me. But in terms of Tao, you're far inferior to me. Chu Kuangren said. His Tao was the perfect Tao, which was very close to the ultimate Tao. Such a Tao was too rare. Even if Jian Feng's realm was higher than Chu Kuangren's, it was impossible for him to surpass Chu Kuangren in terms of Tao. Humph! Jian Feng snorted and a sword ray shot out from his body. The Emperor's chi surged and the Daoist patterns intertwined within it. He made his move. When Chu Kuangren saw that, he too unleashed a sword attack. Amidst the explosion, the two sword chi collided, and the space around them fluctuated so violently that the entire Black Heaven sect could feel it. In the distance, the guests were shocked. What a terrifying power! What the hell is going on? Could it be a battle between emperors? Some people had already thought of Chu Kuangren and Jian Feng, who were not present at the scene. They had a vague idea of what was going on. Murong Xian smiled at the crowd. Everyone, enjoy your meal. It's just a small problem. The sect leader will take care of it. After the sword chi collided, the void was immediately torn apart. Chu Kuangren said, "Today is a joyous day for the Black Heaven sect. I don't want to spoil the mood of the guests. Let's enter the void and battle." Then, a pitch-black crack appeared in front of him. In a flash, his figure had already disappeared. Jian Feng followed suit. In the dusky void, countless spatial turbulences surged, and within them were surges of powerful spatial energy. Vaguely, these spatial energies reflected the appearance of reality. Mountains, rivers, bustling streets, and so on. This was the void. It was the gap between reality and the void. Cultivators with insufficient cultivation would never be able to come into contact with the existence of this layer of space. In the void, two figures suddenly appeared. Chu Kuangren and Jian Feng stood in the air. Let's fight here. Control your strength, and you won't have to worry about affecting reality too much, Chu Kuangren said. Bring it on. Jian Feng no longer held back his emperor's aura, and it completely exploded. A peak third-level Emperor Realm Cultivator. Chu Kuangren activated his Eye of Revelation and saw through Jian Feng's strength. It was the same realm as Qin Yu, whom he had encountered previously. However, the difference was that Qin Yu had an ordinary Dao and an ordinary Emperor essence. On the other hand, Jian Feng had mastered an incomplete Dao, which was a mid-tier Emperor essence. The quality of Dao and Emperor essence were a grade apart. Even if their cultivation levels were the same, the combat strength that they could unleash was completely different. A long sword appeared in Jian Feng's hand. It was an Emperor weapon. He channeled his Emperor's chi into the Emperor weapon, and with a slash, the intertwined Daoist patterns formed a giant net that trapped Chu Kuangren within. Chu Kuangren did not back down, and he unleashed his descendant self-sword. A dazzling sword ray that contained his invincible technique erupted, and it instantly tore apart the sword chi net. However, the sword ray slashed at Jian Feng like a hot knife through butter, forcing him to retreat dozens of kilometers away. He looked at Chu Kuangren in disbelief. This is profound. You've mastered a profound technique. He could not believe it. Those who could create their own profound techniques were all people who had immersed themselves in the Emperor realm for a long time, and they had a deep understanding of their own Tao. However, Chu Kuangren, who had just ascended to the Emperor realm not too long ago, had already mastered a profound technique that most emperors could not. Is that enough to surprise you? How about this? Chu Kuangren moved his sword finger and activated the Emperor essence within his body again. His power increased by another level, and Jian Feng's expression changed again. This Emperor essence. Chapter 656. Chu Kuangren's Emperor's essence increased again. That made Jian Feng's expression change. The quality of Chu Kuangren's Emperor's essence had far surpassed his. Only a top-tier Emperor's essence could possess such power. No, even a top-tier emperor's essence rarely had such power. How many surges of emperor's essence did he use when he formed his emperor's essence foundation? 1,000 surges? 2,000? Or even more? Jian Feng's expression turned grim. There were many factors that affected an emperor's combat strength, but the two most important ones were the emperor's Dao and emperor's essence. In the same realm, if one was stronger in these two aspects, they would have a greater advantage and could even challenge someone of a higher realm. Now, Chu Quanren's emperor's Dao and emperor's essence were stronger than Jian Feng's. Not only that, but Chu Quanren had also mastered the mysteries that only a few emperors could master. With that, it would be difficult for Jian Feng to defeat Chu Quanren despite his higher cultivation realm. In fact, he might even lose. Heaven-slaying sword drawing technique. Chu Quanren raised his arm and unleashed a sword attack. The sword chi howled like a mountain torrent, causing the void to tremble. Its power was so strong that it even caused ripples in the real world. Jian Feng let out a low growl as he channeled all of his emperor's essence to its limit. When he unleashed a sword attack, a large number of Daoist patterns intertwined and formed a giant white sword shadow. Emperor Technique, Torrential Sword Flow. The two great Emperor techniques collided, causing the void to tremble and the surrounding spatial turbulence to be torn apart by their sword chi. In the end, Jian Feng could no longer withstand the power of the heaven-slaying sword-drawing technique. He was blasted away by the sword chi, and the Daoist patterns on his body showed signs of breaking. It seemed like he was injured quite badly. "I've lost this battle." Jian Feng did not try to hold on any longer. He immediately admitted defeat. Chu Quanren did not kill him. He did not want to cause any more trouble before he had a clear understanding of the situation. He retracted his aura, opened a spatial crack, and returned to the real world. Jian Feng followed suit. They were still in the Black Heaven sect's territory. Chu Quanren glanced at Jian Feng and said, "If you want to continue attending the wedding, I don't mind. After all, you've given me a gift." After that, he turned around and walked towards the longevity hall. "Humph!" Jian Feng snorted coldly and followed after them. He stared at Chu Quanren's back with a curious look in his eyes. How could a new emperor possess such terrifying combat strength? What other secrets did this guy have? After the wedding banquet, the guests gradually dispersed. Night. The bright moon hung high in the sky, its moonlight like water. Chu Quanren was sitting cross-legged on his bed with a sword ray circulating within his body. Upon closer inspection, one would realize that it was a white jade-like sword ray. That was Kunwu. At that moment, Chu Quanren was trying to upgrade his descendant self-sword's grade. He had been using the Kunwu sword since the beginning of his cultivation, and it had experienced all kinds of extraordinary things, such as merging with the sword soul and absorbing the Saint Purple Chi. It was no longer the same as it was at the beginning. Now, Chu Quanren had become an emperor. This sword could have long been upgraded to an imperial armament. Chu Quanren was now using his own emperor's chi to nourish descendant self. Soon, 10 days had passed. On this day, the Kunwu sword let out a soft cry. A powerful sword pressure came from the sword, causing all the swords on the mysterious Heaven Sword Mountain to tremble. The Kunwu sword had officially become a sovereign weapon. After so many years, you've finally become an imperial armament. In that case, please guide me in the future. Chu Quanren chuckled as he ran his finger across the descendant self. The descendant self trembled slightly in response. Chu Quanren even felt an excited consciousness, which belonged to the descendant self. The descendant self was a sword with a life of its own. After all, not every weapon had a soul. Even an emperor armament would find it difficult to give birth to a soul. At most, it would only have a bit of spiritual consciousness. However, the descendant self had merged with the sword soul and the Saint Purple Chi, so it had a complete soul that even an emperor armament did not have. Therefore, Chu Kuangren never treated the descendant self as an ordinary tool. Instead, he treated it as a true combat partner. Although he had obtained many emperor armaments, including many swords that were more powerful than the descendant self, he had never thought of replacing it. He kept the descendant self and tied it back to his waist. He then walked out of the room. Meanwhile, in the towering Heaven Palace's courtyard, the three new emperors, Lan Yu, Murong Xian, and Leng Ningyu, were gathered together and sparring. Three types of gorgeous Daoist patterns intertwined in the air. Beside them, Lil Bing, Nangong Huang, Shang Qingxue, and the others were watching attentively, experiencing the sparring session with their hearts. Chu Kuangren was also watching from the side, and he used his eye of revelation to check out the three's cultivation realms to determine their combat strengths. Among them, Lan Yu was the strongest. Her emperor essence had reached the top tier, and her Dao had also reached the flawless grade. Next was Leng Ningyu, who had a mid-tier emperor essence while her Dao was at the top tier. Perhaps it was because of their Daoist physiques. Murong Xian, on the other hand, had a lower-tier emperor essence and a normal emperor Dao. After watching that exchange, Chu Kuangren did not disturb the three. His figure disappeared on the spot and reappeared at a mountain 10,000 kilometers away from the Black Heaven sect. His emperor's thoughts scanned the area, and after making sure that no one was around, he took out the female emperor's head. He took a deep breath and removed the talisman on it. Chu Kuangren sensed a strange fluctuation spreading out. "I hope everything goes well," he murmured. This time, he was here to meet the headless female emperor. To be precise, that person's name was Luo Shui. He was the Chaos Daoist master's disciple. As the fluctuation from Luo Shui's head spread out, a figure soon tore through the void and appeared before Chu Kuangren. That figure did not have a head. It was one of the firmament star's 7 great mysterious stories, the Headless Lady. In other words, Luo Shui Empress. When she sensed the fluctuation from the head in Chu Kuangren's hand, Luo Shui Empress immediately attacked him without saying a word. Her terrifying Dao had condensed into Daoist patterns in the void. "She's so strong. Compared to the last time we met, she's even stronger." "No, it's not that she's stronger. Ever since the firmament star's heavenly Dao became stronger, it can now contain even more power," Chu Kuangren murmured. Luo Shui Empress had not unleashed her full power before this. That was because the firmament star's heavenly Dao was damaged, so it could not contain all of her power. Now that the heavenly Dao had been repaired, she could unleash more of her power on the firmament star. Naturally, her power had become stronger. Heavenly Reversal. Chu Kuangren raised his hand and activated his technique of invincibility. When the two forces collided, a terrifying shockwave spread out like a tidal wave, causing the mountains and rivers within a 10,000-kilometer radius to tremble. Cracks began to appear in the void. Chu Kuangren and Luo Shui Empress were both forced to retreat. Compared to the Sword Tempest, Qin Yu is even stronger. She's still so powerful even without her head. If she were to recover, her strength would at least be at the full success, no, a full emperor. Chu Kuangren activated his eye of revelation and analyzed the headless empress. Now, he could already see more information about her. He could tell that she was at least a full emperor when she was at her peak. Her emperor's essence and emperor's Dao were both top-tier and perfect. Top-tier emperor's essence and Dao of perfection. Among the emperors, it was an extremely rare existence. "Stop, I'll return your head." Chu Kuangren tossed the head in his hand away. Luo Shui Empress immediately caught it and did not attack again. Instead, she immediately pressed the head back onto her own. The moment the head came into contact with the head, Chu Kuangren could clearly see a faint blood-red light emitting from the wound. The flesh and blood were quickly fusing back together. "I can't believe it can be reattached," Chu Kuangren exclaimed. Chapter 657. The Luo Shui Empress, who had reattached her head, suddenly opened her eyes, and an unparalleled emperor's aura spread out crazily like a tide. Chu Kuangren channeled the emperor's qi within his body and withstood the domineering aura. The Luo Shui Empress glanced at Chu Kuangren. Just when Chu Kuangren was about to say something, the other party lifted his hand and tore open a spatial rift before disappearing without a trace. So fast? Chu Kuangren shook his head helplessly. He thought for a while and guessed that his opponent had probably found a place to recover. If there's a chance in the future, I'll give the Chaos Imperial Sutra to her. Chu Kuangren muttered. The imperial scripture that he was referring to was naturally written by the Chaos Dao Master, who had entrusted him to hand it over to Empress Luo Shui. However, this was also good. This Chaos Imperial Sutra was broad and profound. If he left it with him for the time being, he could take the opportunity to properly comprehend it. After dealing with Empress Luo Shui, Chu Kuangren returned to the Black Heaven sect and temporarily went into closed-door meditation to learn the Chaos Emperor scripture. This was compiled by the Chaos Daoist Master. An emperor like the Chaos Daoist Master had such a deep understanding of the Tao that even Chu Kuangren benefited greatly from it. He extracted the essence from it and continued to perfect his own Tao. The Chaos Dao Master had once said that it was extremely difficult for an emperor's Tao to improve without a great opportunity. However, that was only when compared to the other emperors. He did not know how terrifying Chu Kuangren's level of understanding was. Things that were impossible in the eyes of others were often realized by Chu Kuangren. For example, after comprehending the Primal Chaos Imperial Sutra this time, he had gained a lot of experience, and his Tao of invincibility had actually improved a little. Not only that, but his esoteric technique had also improved greatly. Profound mysteries were the same, but they also had different qualities. Similar to Emperor Essences, the invincible technique was also divided into 5 grades: lower tier, middle tier, top tier, supreme tier, and ultimate. Chu Kuangren's invincible technique was only a beginner lower tier technique, but it had now reached the top tier level. Top rank profound mystery. Even some Empyreans might not be able to grasp it. Looking at the time, it's about time to go to the Snow Dragon Mountain. Chu Kuangren muttered. The Snow Dragon Mountain was one of the 10 forbidden grounds. Before Chu Kuangren entered the Emperor's Road, he had once visited the boundary emperors in this area and conversed with them. Therefore, he was familiar with this place. The Snow Dragon Mountain was covered in snow all year round. It snowed for at least 300 days a year. The mountains rose and fell like a dragon. Hence, it was named the Snow Dragon Mountain. On the highest dragon head peak of the Snow Dragon Mountain, a palace made of ice rose from the ground. It was grand and majestic. Chu Kuangren, Lan Yu, Leng Ningyu, and Murong Xian had also arrived at the entrance of the palace. Zi Wuji was there too. When the man saw Chu Kuangren, he immediately bowed to him. "Greetings, fellow Daoist Chu." "You're welcome, fellow Daoist Zi." Chu Kuangren smiled. He could tell that Zi Wuji was somewhat cautious around him. It was obvious that he had killed 4 new emperors on the Mount of Emperors. This incident had not completely disappeared yet. Becoming a martial emperor was Zi Wuji's greatest pursuit in his life. He had thought that he would be able to rest easy after becoming a martial emperor, and he would be able to transcend freedom. However, he did not expect Qin Tianqin and the others, who were both emperors like him and were even stronger than him, to be killed by Chu Kuangren one by one. This matter had a huge impact on him. So much so that he still had a lingering fear when he thought about it. If he had attacked Lan Yu and the others from the Black Heaven sect back then, there would be another dead body on the Mount of Emperors. Boom! At that moment, the palace's door opened. A surge of chilling qi gushed out. "Come in." An indifferent voice was heard. Chu Kuangren and the other 3 walked straight into a great hall. A group of emperors was gathered here. Zi Wuji was secretly speechless. Every emperor here was a veteran emperor, and their strength was much more terrifying than his. "You're finally here." Leng Xian walked up and smiled. "Senior, we're here. Is there anything we need to tell you?" Leng Ningyu bowed to Leng Xian. Don't be so formal. Besides, I've already said that we can just talk as peers from now on." Leng Xian chuckled. She said, "Let's find a place to sit first." Chu Kuangren and the others found a seat. At the same time, they were secretly observing the emperors, and the emperors were also curiously sizing them up. After all, it had been a long time since the emperors had new blood. Are these the new emperors? Why are there only 5? I remember there were 9 new emperors on the Mount of Emperors this time. Where are the others? I heard from Qin that they were killed by one of them. Who? Hey, that young immortal-like emperor in white clothes. Don't underestimate him, he's not as simple as he looks. Yeah, I've heard about him too. Not long ago, the underworld demonic realm wanted to invade the firmament world, but they were stopped by this person. The emperors were curiously sizing Chu Kuangren up. Meanwhile, Chu Kuangren activated his Eye of Revelation and scanned through each of the emperors present, analyzing their information one by one. In the end, he was a little disappointed. In the past, the divine predictor had brought a group of emperors to express his gratitude, but none of those emperors were here. Obviously, the emperors before him were only a small portion of them. Not only that. These emperors were not very powerful. The strongest among them was only a complete emperor. There was not even a heavenly honorable among them. Not to mention the strongest Tao Lord. Apart from that, Chu Kuangren also noticed that one of the emperors with golden scales on his forehead was glaring at him with hostility in his eyes. That person was from the Kirin clan, and his name was Dark North Black Color. Emperor of the Kirin clan, I hope you won't mess around. Chu Kuangren placed his hand on the descendant self-sword's hilt and said. Sorry for the long wait. At that moment, a voice was heard. A man and a woman walked in. This man had a dignified appearance, and his black hair draped over his shoulders. He wore a white brocade robe, and the woman beside him was graceful and luxurious. There was a faint cold aura emanating from her body, which was exactly the same as the aura of this ice palace. Starform Emperor, 9th level Emperor. Frost Jade Emperor, 7th level Emperor. Chu Kuangren scanned them with his Eye of Revelation. They were 2 absolute circle monarchs, especially the Star Transformation Great Monarch, who was in the 9th layer of the early Emperor realm and was the strongest among them. The 2 of them behaved intimately like a pair of Daoist companions. Greetings, Starform Emperor. Upon seeing the Starform Emperor and his companion, the emperors stood up and bowed. The emperors smiled and nodded. Then, he sat on the main seat in the Great Hall and smiled at Chu Kuangren and the others. You are the new emperors of this era. I know you have many questions, and I'll answer them one by one. Why didn't the emperors come out before? Zi Wuji was the first to ask. The heavenly Tao is incomplete, so we can't use our powers within the firmament star. Even in the 9 heavens, there are some restrictions. What about now? The heavenly Tao is complete. What's the extraterrestrial battlefield? It was not Zi Wuji who asked that question. It was Chu Kuangren. Upon hearing the words extraterrestrial battlefield, everyone's expression turned solemn. The Celestial Condensation Great Emperor said, This is also the most important piece of information that I want to tell you. That is, Firmament Star is currently facing a calamity that has lasted since ancient times and has been going on for 12 eras. Chapter 658. A calamity that lasted for 12 eras, huh? Chu Kuangren murmured. An eras was 129,600 years. 12 eras, that was more than 1,000,000 years ago. What kind of calamity could last until now? Zi Wuji and the others could not imagine it. They felt that they had come into contact with the deepest secrets of this world. A long time ago, a group of extraterrestrial visitors appeared outside Firmament Star. They called themselves the Blood Tribe, and their goal was to enslave Firmament Star and turn us into their slaves. Because of this, the Emperors and the Blood Tribe started a war. In the end, they stopped the Blood Tribe from entering Firmament Star, but they also paid a huge price. Aside from the sacrifices of countless sages, the heavenly Tao was also damaged during that war, and it deteriorated day by day. As the number of emperors decreased, the post-celestial Daoist entered a dormant period in order to recover its strength and repair itself. After many years of self-evolution, it gradually recovered and formed 9 emperor thrones in one go. This is also the real reason why there were no emperors in recent times. The extraterrestrial battlefield is where we fought the Blood Tribe. It's located outside Firmament Star, so it's called the extraterrestrial battlefield. The Star Condensation Emperor explained. Everyone was shocked. Although the Star Condensation Emperor did not say much, the information contained in his words was extremely huge. Chu Kuangren was also deep in thought. The Blood Tribe first appeared 12 eras ago, which was probably when the War of Defiance gods had just ended. Was it because of the Blood Tribe's invasion that the emperors did not have the chance to rescue the Chaos Daoist Lord, causing him to be trapped until now? Are the emperors in the extraterrestrial battlefield? Chu Kuangren asked again. Some of them are guarding the 9 heavens. The 9 heavens is a space created by the emperors, and it's also one of our lines of defense against the Blood Tribe. The reason we came to Firmament Star this time is to make arrangements. After all, now that the heavenly Tao has recovered, more emperors will be born in the future, and we will guide them here. Besides, the most important thing is to keep an eye on the deities that are sealed here. We must not let them create chaos. The Star Condensation Emperor said. Deities? What are they? The God of Light? Zi Wuji asked curiously. He felt that what he had seen and heard today was too much. He estimated that he would need some time to digest it when he returned. The God of Light is just one of them. Before resisting the Blood Kindred, there was a war against the gods. Like the Blood Kindred, the gods who tried to enslave the human race were defeated and sealed in the endless void. The seal has been gone for a long time, and with the recovery of the heavenly axiom, we are afraid that these gods will break the seal, so we came here to guard. Star Transformation Great Emperor answered everyone's questions. Then, he waved his hand. A gigantic 2D map appeared before everyone's eyes, and there were many places on this map that Chu Kuangren was familiar with. For example, the 10 Great Forbidden Grounds, the encampments of the various great orthodoxies, and so on. This was the map of the Firmament Star. Alright, let's discuss the place we will be looking after. Star Transformation Great Emperor smiled. Chu Kuangren did not know if it was an illusion, but he noticed that the Emperor's eyes lit up the moment the Firmament Star's map appeared. The ocean is the Kirin tribe's territory, so let me look after the ocean, Emperor Dark North of the Kirin tribe said. That won't do. There are at least 20 gods sealed in the ocean. How can you look after all of them alone? Let me look after half of the ocean for you, one of the emperors said. There's no need for that. I can handle it alone. Of course. How can I let you do it alone? Then let me look after the Nether Abyss Valley, with a radius of 8 million kilometers. The Nether Abyss Valley has a radius of 8 million kilometers? Heh, you sure are arrogant. I'll give you a maximum of 4 million kilometers. This place is not bad. It's rich in spiritual qi. After the recovery of the heavenly axiom, it will definitely give birth to many treasures. Ahem, no, the god that was sealed here is very powerful. It's a ferocious deity, so let me look after it. The emperors were planning out the places they were going to look after, but Chu Kuangren and the others felt a little strange watching from the side. That was because these people did not look like they were going to complete a mission. Instead, they looked more like, they were dividing territories. That's right, they were dividing territories. The more Chu Kuangren looked at them, the more he felt that way. Did these emperors come to the firmament star to divide their territories? Brother Chu, the Black Heaven sect is your orthodoxy, right? That place of yours isn't very good. There are 3 gods sealed within a radius of 7 million kilometers. Why don't you let me look after it for you? At that moment, an elegant white-robed man said to Chu Kuangren. Humph, Brother Bai, didn't you say that you're going to look after the soaring snow mountain? Why are you eyeing the Black Heaven sect now? Brother Chu, my cultivation level is higher than his, so let me look after it for you. Stop fooling around, you two. Both of you have your own territories to look after. Brother Chu and I will be in charge of the Black Heaven sect. The few emperors surrounded Chu Kuangren and kept arguing. They looked like they wanted to share Chu Kuangren's burden. Murong Xian and Lan Yu looked at them strangely. Chu Kuangren had a mocking look on his face. He felt like he had understood something. Everyone, the Black Heaven sect is my orthodoxy, so you don't have to worry about it. Lan Yu, Murong Xian, let's leave. Chu Kuangren said and was about to leave with his people. Hold on, Brother Chu. The gods sealed near the Black Heaven sect are not to be underestimated. You've just ascended to the Emperor realm, so I'm afraid they won't be easy to deal with. Let me look after them for you. The scholarly man in white robes said relentlessly. There's no need for that. Brother Chu, please reconsider. The white-robed man's expression darkened as he said. Murong Xian and Lan Yu were even more confused. What are these emperors up to? Why are they so obsessed with the Black Heaven sect? Is there anything that they value? Is it because of those sealed gods? Since we've already said so much, there's no need for you guys to be so secretive anymore. Let's get to the point. The reason why you guys came to Firmament Star is because of the resources here, am I right? Chu Kuangren asked. The Emperor's eyes flickered, and the place suddenly became quiet. What kind of resources are there on the Firmament Star that the Emperors are so interested in? Zi Wuji asked, puzzled. There might not be any now, but that doesn't mean there won't be any in the future. The heavenly Tao has been revived, and the spiritual qi between the heavens and earth has become more abundant. As the origin of the heavenly Tao, the firmament star's advantage is not something a man-made space like the 9 heavens can compare to. There are bound to be all kinds of treasures and opportunities of fortune in different places. Perhaps it's true that you've come to the firmament star to look after the god's sealed grounds, but I'm sure it's more for the treasures and opportunities of fortune that will be born in the future. The places that you've chosen are mostly places with abundant spiritual qi in the firmament star, because the chances of treasures and opportunities of fortune being born in these places are higher. As for why you're so obsessed with the Black Heaven sect, it's because the Black Heaven sect is the dwelling place of the godly phoenix. The godly phoenix is a divine beast loved by the heavens and earth, and she possesses great fortune. The place where she resides is even more prosperous, so there's a higher chance of treasures being born. I wonder if I'm right? Chu Kuangren said. A hint of disappointment flashed across his eyes. So these are the emperors? He had learned from the Chaos Daoist Lord that many human sages had fought valiantly for the freedom of the human race against the gods. To him, those sages were the true emperors. As for these so-called emperors in front of him, they were using the name of looking after the gods for personal gain, but they still acted so secretive, as if they were afraid that others would see through them. I can't even be bothered to spend another minute with them. Chapter 659. At Chu Kuangren /s words, the emperor's faces turned grim. Lan Yu, Ling Ningyu, and the others finally understood. So that s how it is. Let s go. Chu Kuangren led Lan Yu and Murong Xian to leave. Wait. At that moment, the emperor of the Qilin clan, Dark North Xuanxia, called out to Chu Kuangren. He said, you can leave if you want, but you have to leave the Qilin clan /S Empyrean Neptune halberd behind. That /S the weapon of our emperor. The Empyrean Neptune halberd is my spoils of war. Although it /S useless to me now, I don't /T want to hand it over so easily. Oh, does that mean there /S going to be a battle between you and me? Dark North Xianxia took a step forward and unleashed his Emperor /S aura, which swept towards Chu Kuangren like a raging wave. Think carefully. Are you sure you want to fight me? Chu Kuangren said. Humph, I heard that you /VE killed 5 new emperors the moment you became an emperor. I /D like to see how strong you /V become, and if you /re on par with us old emperors. Without another word, Dark North Xianxia unleashed a punch. Mysterious Daoist patterns flowed between his fingers, and the Emperor /S Qi unleashed a tsunami-like force as if it wanted to crush everything in its path. Chu Kuangren did not retreat. Instead, he unleashed a punch at his opponent. When the two fists collided and the Daoist patterns collided, the huge force caused the void to tremble, and Dark North Xianxia was blasted back dozens of feet. Meanwhile, Chu Kuangren stood still on the spot. This guy /S strength is so strong. Dark North Xianxia /S expression changed as he looked at Chu Kuangren in fear. Then, he took out a long white staff with mysterious Daoist patterns flowing on it, causing his aura to rise again. With the Emperor weapon in hand, Dark North Xianxia attacked Chu Kuangren again. The majestic Emperor /S aura surged out wave after wave. You shall be defeated. Merak strike. Dark North Sea Realm raised the staff in his hand high and smashed it down towards Chu Kuangren. A huge force blasted through the void and countless Daoist patterns spread out, wrapping around a huge torrential force and forming a giant whirlpool. Heaven's Vortex. Chu Kuangren activated his invincible technique and Daoist patterns intertwined on his palm to form a vortex. When the two vortexes collided, the power of Dark North Sea Realm's attack was quickly absorbed and disintegrated by Chu Kuangren's vortex. What? Just as Dark North Sea Realm was still in shock, a huge wave of energy suddenly rebounded from the vortex that Chu Kuangren had conjured. That was his power of water. With a bang, the staff in Dark North Xian's hand was blasted back once more. Profound, you've actually grasped the profound. Baiming Xian exclaimed. Not only him, but the others also felt that it was inconceivable. I didn't expect a new emperor to be able to grasp the profoundness. It is indeed unimaginable. Furthermore, judging from this profound aura, it is most likely not an ordinary one. Baiming Xian's strength isn't weak. He's in the 4th stage of the Emperor Realm and is a late Emperor Realm expert. Yet, this new emperor was able to force him to retreat twice. To be able to unleash such strength, it's very likely to be a high-rank profound art. Profound mysteries were rare to begin with. Not to mention a high-rank profound art. It's impolite not to reciprocate. Now, it's my turn. The descendant self-sword at Chu Kuangren's waist suddenly shot out. Mysterious Daoist patterns flowed along the white jade-like blade, and a terrifying sword Dao aura erupted, forcing the surrounding emperors to retreat like a tidal wave. After the descendant self-sword circled around Chu Kuangren twice, it landed in his hand. With a gentle slash, a surge of invincible power erupted. Boom! A dazzling purple sword ray immediately tore through the void. The terrifying sword pressure locked onto Dark North Xian. Not good. Dark North Xian immediately pushed his strength to the limit and struck out with his staff at the sword ray. Under the collision of the Daoist patterns, the sword ray bounced off the staff like a hot knife through butter. Meanwhile, Dark North Xian was struck by the sword ray, and pieces of scales appeared on his body like a close-fitting armor. Even so, the powerful force still caused Dark North Sea Realm to spit out a mouthful of blood. He was sent flying by the sword ray and crashed into the ceiling of the ice palace, causing the entire palace to shake violently. A huge hole appeared in the ceiling, and Dark North Sea Realm was sent flying. However, Chu Kuangren had no intention of stopping there. He took a step forward and arrived outside the palace. With the sword in hand, he unleashed another slash. This time, the sword ray was far stronger than before. There was a horrifying scene of the sun and moon turning upside down and the stars falling from the sky. Dark North Sea Realm felt a sense of panic in the face of this attack. I can't take this attack. I might die. Fine beads of cold sweat instantly formed on Dark North Sea Realm's forehead. Just when he was about to be hit by the sword ray, a stream of light swept past him and crashed into the sword ray like a meteor. When the two forces collided, it was as if two stars had collided. Cracks spread across the space, covering thousands of kilometers. The entire Snowdragon Mountain looked like it was about to collapse. The huge impact sent Dark North Sea Realm flying a few hundred meters away. He looked at the white-robed middle-aged man in front of him and breathed a sigh of relief. Meanwhile, Chu Kuangren held the Descendant Self sword in his hand and looked at the Starform Emperor before him. What? Do you want to attack the new Emperor too? The Starform Emperor was a 9th-level Emperor Origin Realm Cultivator. A top-notch full-circle Emperor. In terms of Cultivation Realm, Chu Kuangren had only just stepped into the Emperor Realm. There was a world of difference between him and his opponent. However, even in the face of the Starform Emperor, whose Cultivation Realm was far higher than his, Chu Kuangren was still as calm as ever. When the other emperors saw this, they could not help but wonder. They did not know if Chu Kuangren was just putting on an act or if he had a card up his sleeve. The Starform Emperor could not see through Chu Kuangren either, and he did not want to start a conflict with the new emperor now. However, since he was the leader of these emperors, he could not just sit back and watch Chu Kuangren kill Dark North Sea Realm in front of him. Brother Chu, where it is possible to forgive and forget, one should forgive and forget. Brother Dark North has indeed done something wrong, but if you want to kill him because of this, isn't that a bit too much? Why don't you just let this matter go? The Starform Emperor said. That's easy for you to say. He was the one who wanted to attack me, and I've asked him to reconsider. He was the one who insisted, so how can I be blamed? It's not that easy to let this matter rest. Then what do you want to do, Brother Chu? You should at least give me some compensation. Chu Kuangren said. It was not a wise move to start a conflict with the Starform Emperor, but it was impossible for him to just let this matter rest. Impossible. Dark North Sea Realm's expression darkened. Loser, you have no right to object. Chu Kuangren glanced at him. Then, he looked at the Starform Emperor. He could tell that the emperors here were obviously led by this person. This is an Emperor-grade soul source. Is it enough? The Starform Emperor took out a golden crystal that contained extremely pure spiritual qi. It even had its own Emperor's qi. Chu Kuangren took the Emperor's soul source, played with it for a while, and then nodded. This Emperor's soul source was enough for his cultivation to improve further. It was not impossible for him to step into the second stage Emperor realm. I don't care how you want to divide the territory, but if anyone dares to touch the Black Heaven sect's territory, don't blame me for being merciless. Chu Kuangren glanced at the crowd and said coldly. After that, he left with Lan Yu and the others. Looking at Chu Kuangren's departing figure, the Starform Emperor's gaze was a little complicated. Is this the person that the Heavenly Honorables wanted me to pay attention to? He does have some character, but he's still a new emperor. He's still young and full of vigor. Chapter 660. A mere new emperor dares to be so arrogant. He's too arrogant. This time, it's not his turn to guard the deity seal anyway. The Black Heaven sect is just a small piece of land, so we'll just let him have it. That's right. Let's continue to plan out the perimeter. The emperors were rather displeased with Chu Kuangren's behavior. Then, they ignored him. Leng Ningyu and Zi Wuji did not leave with Chu Kuangren immediately. Instead, they discussed with the others. Zi Wuji sensed that this was an opportunity, so he followed the emperors and marked out a piece of land on Firmament Star as his residence. Ningyu, why don't you go and look after the celestial forest mountain range? The spiritual qi there is abundant, and it's a treasure land. Based on the heavenly Tao's recovery, there'll be treasures appearing in less than 10 years. Leng Xian said to Leng Ningyu. Both of them were from the Seven Emotions sect. Although it was a long time ago, Leng Xian was still willing to take care of them for the sake of their friendship. Hence, she picked out a treasure land for her. Thank you, brother Leng Xian, but I'm not sure if I want to stay on Firmament Star yet. Leng Ningyu smiled. I see. It's not a bad idea if you want to return to the Emperor's path. However, you must remember that becoming an emperor doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. Emperors must not interfere in the affairs of those below the Emperor realm. Leng Xian said solemnly. Firmament Star was currently in a special period. The emperors who were fighting in the extraterrestrial battlefields had not been replenished for hundreds of thousands of years, so they needed new emperors to replenish their combat strength. The emperors must not interfere in the affairs of those below the Emperor realm to prevent the emperors from doing whatever they wanted with their strength. That was the agreement between the emperors. I understand, Leng Ningyu said. The emperors discussed for 3 days and 3 nights before they finally decided on the place to look after. Then, they went their separate ways. Leng Ningyu returned to the Black Heaven sect as well. She briefly told everyone about what happened after Chu Kuangren left. The emperors divided the Firmament Star into 300 prefectures, and each prefecture is guarded by an emperor. Among them, the Black Heaven sect is located in the Black Heaven prefecture, which Chu Kuangren will be in charge of. However, the Black Heaven prefecture is the smallest. It's only 100,000 kilometers wide with the Black Heaven sect at its center. After listening to Leng Ningyu, everyone fell into deep thought. It could be said that the emergence of the emperors had completely overturned the current power structure of the Firmament Star. From now on, the sage orthodoxies would become a thing of the past, and the emperors would be the true rulers of the Firmament Star. In fact, those orthodoxies were unable to resist at all. They were too weak before an emperor, and it was to the point that an emperor could crush them as easily as crushing a few ants. They could only listen and let it be. This is too much. A radius of 100,000 miles? How much territory do the other emperors control? Murong Xian asked with a frown. Other than the Xiantian Dao prefecture, the smallest Dao prefecture is 3 million miles wide, said Leng Ningyu indifferently. Even the smallest prefecture was dozens of times bigger than the Xiantian Dao prefecture. It was obvious that these emperors were taking revenge on Chu Kuangren for his rudeness. This is interesting. Has the entire Firmament Star been divided? Chu Kuangren chuckled and asked. There are also some places that are either barren of spiritual energy or inauspicious and sensitive. No one wants them, so they are abandoned. Alright, I understand. Chu Kuangren nodded and said, let's not bother with the emperors for now. Let's take care of the Black Heaven sect first. He had once said that he did not care how the emperors divided their territories, as long as they did not target the Black Heaven sect. Compared to the emperors dividing their territories, Chu Kuangren was more concerned about the extraterrestrial battlefield and the great calamity that had lasted until now. He planned to stay in Firmament Star for a while before heading to the extraterrestrial battlefield to hone his skills and take a look at the so-called Blood Tribe. His path of cultivation had not reached its end yet. The emperors were not the end, but a new starting point for him. As time passed, the 300 Daoist prefectures that were divided by the emperors gradually entered the public's view. Every cultivator knew that times had changed. In the past, the emperors were nowhere to be seen, but now, the emperors were dominating the Firmament Star. Many people did not have the time to react. At the same time, besides the emperors, the orthodoxies from the 9 heavens had also sent many cultivators to the firmament star. With the emperor's permission, they set up branches of their orthodoxies on firmament star. Now that the heavenly Tao had been revived, they had their eyes on firmament star as well. Emperors, ancient orthodoxies, these existences that had long turned into ancient legends in firmament star appeared one by one, causing the cultivators of firmament star to fall into a state of shock. However, the tide of time would not stop because of anyone. As the wheel of history rolled forward, some cultivators who could not keep up with the changes of the times were abandoned and turned into cannon fodder. At the same time, many people took advantage of the situation to rise and shine. It had been more than a year since Chu Kuangren and the others became emperors, and in this year, the changes on firmament star were unprecedented. The heavenly Tao had been revived, the spiritual qi had become more abundant, and the great Tao had manifested, making cultivation easier for the cultivators. Chu Kuangren even heard that there were several old emperors who ascended the Emperor's Mountain from the Emperor's Path and became emperors there. However, Chu Kuangren did not pay much attention to these things. He was also cultivating now. After a year of cultivation, although he did not make much progress in his cultivation realm, he only managed to ascend to the second stage Emperor realm after refining an Emperor-grade spiritual source. This showed how difficult it was to progress in the Emperor realm. It was not surprising that some emperors did not make much progress even after hundreds of thousands of years. On this day, in the Black Heaven sect, suddenly, a fiery light shot into the sky. Then, a majestic emperor's aura swept out and spread across the entire firmament star. In the towering heaven palace, Chu Kuangren opened his eyes. He looked at the sky in surprise and murmured, "This energy. It's Lil Red. Lil Red is about to ascend." His eyes lit up, and he walked out of the Daoist palace. The clouds in the sky were dyed red by a brilliant red light, and in the middle of the red clouds, a huge ball of fire was burning. A domineering emperor's aura spread out from it. Within the flames, a figure could be vaguely seen. It was the godly phoenix. The Black Heaven sect's disciples were startled by the godly phoenix. One by one, they rushed out to watch the godly phoenix ascend. Gradually, the emperor's aura became stronger, so much so that even some of the emperors in the outer domain could feel it. This is the ultimate Tao. There's a living being that has attained the ultimate Tao. This energy, is it a divine beast? Is it a godly phoenix nurtured by the heavens and earth? No wonder it can attain the ultimate Tao. The godly phoenix and true dragon are auspicious beasts that are favored by the heavens and earth. They are not inferior to some of the ancient innate gods, so it's not unimaginable that it can attain the ultimate Tao. These living beings that are blessed by the heavens and earth have an advantage over humans in terms of Tao. The emperors could not help but exclaim. Meanwhile, in the Black Heaven sect, the godly phoenix's ascension to the emperor realm was celebrated by the heavens and earth. Tens of thousands of auspicious lights shone down and illuminated the entire Black Heaven sect. Many disciples were more or less enlightened by the auspicious lights. Meanwhile, the godly phoenix in the sky absorbed the spiritual qi from hundreds of thousands of kilometers around it. With the heavenly Tao's blessing, it began to condense Emperor's aura. Chapter 661. With the heavenly Tao's blessing and the influx of endless spiritual qi, the godly phoenix began to condense Emperor essence. Its speed was no slower than Chu Kuangren refining the chaotic qi in the coffin. In the end, the godly phoenix condensed a supreme-tier Emperor essence. Supreme-tier Emperor essence, the ultimate Tao. Compared to Chu Kuangren's ultimate Emperor essence, the perfect Tao was not inferior at all. A divine beast was indeed a divine beast. As the godly phoenix became an emperor, a large amount of spiritual qi boiled within the Black Heaven sect's boundary like a mist that shrouded tens of thousands of kilometers. Amidst the mist, treasures were forming one after another. There were countless supreme-tier spiritual sources, spiritual marrows, treasure ores, and more. F*ck me, the godly phoenix's Daoist ascension is indeed extraordinary. So many treasures have been born in such a short time. TSK, this is too extraordinary. Quick, send someone to collect them. All hail the godly phoenix. The godly phoenix was an auspicious beast that was blessed with great fortune. The land where the godly phoenix resided was affected by the godly phoenix's chi, and it was a place of great prosperity. The godly phoenix's Daoist ascension was celebrated by the heavens and earth, and many treasures were born between heaven and earth. Chu Kuangren could not help but marvel at everything that was happening. He knew. Such a phenomenon occurred not only because of the godly phoenix's Daoist ascension, but also because of the heavenly Dao's revival. If the heavenly Dao's power was insufficient, such a phenomenon would not occur even if the godly phoenix ascended 10 times. That's, all of a sudden, Chu Kuangren sensed a powerful burst of energy within the Black Heaven sect's territory. It was the aura of some kind of treasure. Chu Kuangren's figure flashed and arrived at the top of a mountain. There was a giant parasol tree on the top of the mountain. On the tree, there was a fist-sized fiery red fruit that looked like a crystal-clear gemstone. Bursts of fruity fragrance filled the air, making one salivate. Parasol fruit? This is one of the 10 great spirit fruits, the divine parasol fruit. Chu Kuangren could not help but be surprised. The 10 great spirit fruits were the most talked about spirit fruits in Firmament Star since ancient times. Each of them was created by the heavens and earth and had endless uses. Chu Kuangren had once obtained the divine white spirit fruit. Now, the second one was in front of him, the divine parasol fruit. I didn't expect this spirit fruit to be born after the divine phoenix proved its Dao. However, it looks like it will still take some time before it ripens. Fine, let me give you a hand. Chu Kuangren took out pieces of spiritual sources and placed them in a specific position. Then, surges of spiritual chi surged towards him from all directions and surged towards the divine parasol fruit. This was a spirit-gathering formation. It could quickly gather the surrounding spiritual energy. With the support of this array formation, the divine parasol fruit ripened much faster, and a strange spiritual fruit fluctuation spread out. Initially, the commotion caused by the godly phoenix's Dao verification had already attracted the attention of the emperors on the firmament star. Now, the appearance of the divine parasol fruit made some of the emperors even more envious. The new emperor's luck is too good. Not only did the divine phoenix recognize him as its master, but there are also various treasures that have appeared in the land. The land where the divine phoenix is located is filled with outstanding people. It is indeed not a joke. This Wudong divine fruit is one of the 10 great spirit fruits. It is specially used to raise one's cultivation. This divine fruit is worth more than 100 emperor-grade spirit sources. It is enough to raise a small perfection emperor to great perfection emperor. It would be great if a treasure like this appeared in my land. He's just a new emperor. How can he possess such a treasure? Some of the emperors looked at the divine parasol fruit and could no longer hold themselves back. If this divine parasol fruit grew in the land of other emperors, they might be envious, but they would not do anything unnecessary. However, Chu Kuangren was just a new emperor, a young guy who had just ascended to emperor a few years ago. He did not have any prestige among the emperors. No, this divine parasol fruit is of great use to me. I can't let it go just like that. One of the emperors gritted his teeth, turned into a stream of light, and disappeared on the spot, arriving at the Black Heaven sect's land. At the mountain peak, where the divine parasol fruit was. Chu Kuangren sensed the arrival of an emperor, and a hint of surprise flashed across his eyes. He then looked at the person who had arrived. It was a white-robed emperor with a fan in his hand. He had an elegant demeanor, like a scholar. However, when the other party looked at the divine parasol fruit, the greed in his eyes did not escape Chu Kuangren's eyes. I knew that some people wouldn't be able to sit still when the divine parasol fruit has appeared. Well, it's time to use a few people to establish my dominance. Chu Kuangren murmured. He knew that he was a new emperor, and he had almost no prestige among the emperors. Hence, people often came to provoke him. Jian Feng, dark north black color, and this person in front of him, it was easy to change this situation. All he had to do was show enough strength. Brother Chu, I have an emperor-grade spiritual source here. I'd like to use it to exchange for this divine parasol fruit. What do you think? The scholarly emperor took out an emperor-grade spiritual source and smiled. Are you out of your mind? Chu Kuangren glanced at him and said bluntly. No matter how ignorant he was, he knew that the divine parasol fruit was not something an emperor-grade spiritual source could compare to. Brother Chu, if you don't want to exchange, then don't. Why do you have to be so rude and hurt our friendship? The scholarly emperor said with a gloomy expression. I find this funny. You're using an emperor-grade spiritual source to exchange for this divine parasol fruit. That's no different from robbery, and you still have the nerve to talk about friendship with me? Chu Kuangren sneered. Haha, Brother Chu, you're right. This guy's skin is really thick. At that moment, a coarse laughter was heard. A muscular emperor walked over. The person's aura was surging and wild, like a wild beast. Through the eye of revelation, Chu Kuangren had learned that the emperor in front of him was a wild beast, and his true form was the adamantine bear. Xiong Kuang, what's the meaning of this? The scholarly emperor's expression darkened. What's the meaning of this? Isn't it obvious enough? Emperor Xiong Kuang pouted. Then, he took out a golden armor and said, Brother Chu, this is an emperor weapon. I'll use it to exchange for this divine parasol fruit. What do you think? The Daoist patterns on that armor circulated. It was a defensive emperor weapon. Emperor Xiong Kuang's true form was the adamantine bear, and this type of wild beast was best at defense. There was no need for this emperor weapon at all. That was why he took it out to exchange with Chu Kuangren. However, Chu Kuangren only glanced at it once before he looked away. He had the immortal body, so a defensive emperor weapon was not that useful to him. Besides, this emperor weapon could not be used to exchange for the divine parasol fruit. I'm not exchanging. Brother Chu, I'm a straightforward person, so I'll just say it directly. Today, you'll have to exchange for this divine parasol fruit no matter what. Emperor Xiong Kuang grinned. Then why waste your breath? Come at me. The descendant self-sword at Chu Kuangren's waist shot out and landed in his hand. He raised his arm and slashed, tearing a crack in the void. He then lifted his foot and walked into the void. The scholarly emperor and Emperor Xiong Kuang followed closely behind him. Surges of emperors' thoughts surged from all directions into the void, observing the battle between the new emperor and the veteran emperors. Chu Kuangren had already displayed his full strength back at the Snowdragon Mountain. However, he did not go all out that time. The emperors wanted to see what the new emperor's limit was. Chapter 662. In the Void. Chu Kuangren was facing off against two veteran emperors alone. Both of them were very strong, being great emperors. On the other hand, Chu Kuangren was only a lesser emperor at the second-layer emperor realm. His chances of winning against the two of them were slim. Brother Chu, we're not the same as that guy from the Qilin clan. He's only at the fourth-layer emperor realm while we're at the sixth layer. The difference between two layers is not something you can imagine. Emperor Wild Bear let out a low growl, and an overbearing emperor's aura suddenly erupted from his body as surges of emperor's qi circulated around his body. He took the lead and punched out. The wind generated by his punch shattered a spatial turbulence in the void and swept out with a wild aura. Chu Kuangren raised his hand and unleashed a sword attack. The sword qi shattered the fist wind with a bang. Then, he unleashed his technique of invincibility and unleashed a terrifying sword attack that caused the sun and moon to reverse. Emperor Wild Bear let out a low growl as surges of Emperor's chi intertwined on his body. Daoist patterns circulated and formed a giant golden bear silhouette. Roar! It was followed by a roar. The giant golden bear silhouette slammed its palm onto the sword ray. Amidst the explosion, the giant golden bear was pushed back a few kilometers, and the sword ray that Chu Kuangren unleashed was also shattered into sword chi. Chu Kuangren's eyes lit up. Oh, to be able to block my technique of invincibility. Interesting. You're indeed stronger than that emperor from the Qilin clan, but I wonder how much stronger you guys are compared to him. He raised his hand again and unleashed several more sword rays. The terrifying energy caused Emperor Wild Bear's expression to change slightly. This guy really does have combat strength that far surpasses his peers in the same realm. The giant golden bear silhouette behind him let out a series of angry roars as it continuously attacked with its claws. Every attack set off a violent airflow. Bang, 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 a few consecutive explosions were heard as the giant claws and sword rays collided. Emperor Wild Bear's figure was constantly pushed back. However, Chu Kuangren's sword rays did not stop at all. F*CK, you be *starred, why are you still watching? What are you waiting for? Great Emperor Xiong Kuang roared at the scholarly emperor. Humph, let's see if you still dare to speak so rudely. The refined emperor grunted lightly, and then he attacked as well. He knew that he might not be able to snatch the divine parasol fruit by himself. Hence, he could only team up with great Emperor Xiong Kuang. Majestic Emperor Qi and Dao runes erupted from his body, intertwining in the void and forming a huge green shadow. It was an illusory figure shrouded in a storm. Its face could not be seen clearly, and it was surrounded by an incomparably powerful storm force. Heavenly Wind Dharma Idol. The scholarly emperor let out a soft cry, and the shadow that was shrouded in the storm behind him slowly raised its hand and attacked Chu Kuangren. Oh, the power of transcendence? Try mine. 10,000 Daos. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. The power of the Daoist bodies in his body exploded at the same time. A multicolored Dharma idol appeared, and then a surge of Dharma energy that shocked even the two veteran emperors instantly erupted. The heavenly wind Dharma idol was knocked back by this power. How is this possible? This is the power of the Taoist body? Why did this Dharma power contain so many different Dharma power auras? Crimson Sun Daoist physique, Frost Daoist physique, exquisite 9 orifices sword heart, holy radiant physique. There's even a chaos physique. Both great Emperor Xiong Kuang and the refined emperor widened their eyes. It was not that they had never seen the power of the Daoist body before. However, they had never seen or even heard of the power of so many Daoist bodies concentrated in one Dharma idol before. The other emperors who were watching the battle were also stunned. So many Daoist body physique powers concentrated in one person? This kind of thing was simply a fantasy story. How? How did he do it? Unbelievable, this is simply unbelievable, oh my god, is this guy really human? This has never happened before. Even the Starfall Emperor could not help but gulp. No wonder the heavenly honorables told me to pay more attention to him. I can't believe something like this actually happened. This is just too unbelievable. How did he do it? Emperors were not omnipotent. Even emperors would be shocked. Now, Chu Kuangren had shocked the emperors like never before. Zi Wuji was also watching the battle. He could not help but let out a soft sigh. Before he became an emperor, he was already a legend among the younger generation. Even after becoming an emperor, he can still create miracles. How can such a person exist in this world? He might not be able to catch up to Chu Kuangren in this lifetime. In the void, Chu Kuangren unleashed his 10,000 Dharma idols. Compared to a year ago, his 10,000 Dharma idols now had a few more Daoist body powers. They were Murong Xian's Crimson Sun Daoist physique, Nangong Huang's Yinyang God Eye, and Shang Qingshue's Frost Daoist physique. He even took the time to go to the Emperor's Road to gain insights on the Mystic Sword Guard's Fallen Darkness Daoist physique. The power of the 10,000 Dharma idols was on another level compared to before. Come, let's see how many of my Dharma idols' attacks you guys can withstand. Chu Kuangren said. The Dharma idol behind him moved and unleashed a punch. The power of the many Daoist physiques mixed together and formed an indescribable Daoist strength. That power was too terrifying. The moment Scholarly Emperor's Heavenly Tempest avatar collided with the Dharma idol, it was shattered by the Dharma idol's power. Emperor Xiong Kuang gulped, extremely shocked. Too powerful. Too terrifying. A second-stage emperor could completely suppress two sixth-stage realm cultivators like them. No, it could be said that they were completely crushed. This kind of battle prowess to challenge someone of a higher level was too shocking. Vajra strength. Emperor Xiong Kuang stepped forward and let out an angry roar. His roar was like thunder, and the sound waves spread out wildly. Then, the giant golden bear shadow charged towards Chu Kuangren's 10,000 Dharma idols, its two giant palms containing the terrifying Vajra strength. That attack seemed to be able to shatter the stars in the sky. However, Chu Kuangren's 10,000 Dharma idols did not retreat even a single step. Boom! A punch was unleashed. The void turbulence shattered. The fist wind swept across, and the various Daoist physique powers mixed together. Before it even landed on the giant bear shadow, it had already shattered the two giant palms. Then, that punch forcefully annihilated the giant bear shadow. The remaining power swept across, sending the two veteran emperors flying. Chu Kuangren's powerful combat strength shocked the onlooking emperors. Emperor Xiong Kuang and Scholarly Emperor's eyes were filled with fear. They looked at Chu Kuangren with goosebumps all over their bodies. How can there be an emperor like that? How can this guy's combat strength be so strong? Both emperors' bodies were trembling. Meanwhile, Chu Kuangren took a step forward, and a surge of emperor's aura emanated from his body. The 10,000 Dharma idols behind him followed suit. He raised his hand and suppressed. The giant Dharma idol's hands locked onto Scholarly Emperor. Die! No! Scholarly Emperor unleashed an attack with all his might. One after another, Daoist patterns wrapped in a storm and landed on the 10,000 Dharma idol's giant hands. However, the 10,000 Dharma idol's power was too strong. Scholarly Emperor's attack did not have any effect at all, and the moment it came into contact, the Daoist patterns on it shattered. With a loud bang, Scholarly Emperor's body was blasted apart. Chapter 663. Although you're in the 6th level Emperor realm, you only have ordinary Daos and Emperor essences. You haven't even understood the mysteries, so your combat strength is only a so-so. Now, it's your turn. Chu Kuangren looked at Emperor Kuang Bear. This emperor from the wild beast clan gulped, his eyes filled with fear. He no longer had the slightest intention to fight. He opened up the void and escaped. Chu Kuangren curled his lips at that. Where can I run to? He returned to the real world in a flash. Run, run. That was Emperor Kuang Bear's only thought. He really couldn't figure out how a new emperor in the 2nd stage of the Emperor realm could have such a terrifying battle strength. A 6th level emperor like him was powerless before his opponent. Where do you think you're going? While Emperor Kuang Bear was escaping, a silvery voice suddenly rang out. Then, a tremor that came from the depths of his bloodline caused his pupils to shrink. In front of him was a young lady in a red dress. The young lady had waist-length black hair, a slim figure, red lips, and white teeth. There was a hint of nobility in between her brows, as if she was a noble lady. "You're the godly phoenix. The godly phoenix that just ascended to the Emperor realm." Emperor Kuang Bear's expression changed. Not daring to be careless, he hurriedly channeled all his strength and punched the godly phoenix. "Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Chu Hong from the Black Heaven sect." The godly phoenix Chu Hong said. Then, she gently raised her hand and pressed her slender arm against Emperor Kuang Bear's sandbag-sized fist. A gust of wind blew, sending shockwaves everywhere. Chu Hong's crimson dress fluttered in the wind, but she did not move an inch. A cold glint flashed in her golden eyes. "Little bear, how dare you cause trouble in the Black Heaven sect?" With a light snort, Chu Hong's jade-white palm suddenly emitted a large amount of golden flames, covering the entire arm of the Wild Bear Emperor. The Daoist patterns in the flames intertwined with the Emperor's chi, and in an instant, Emperor Kuang Bear's arm was burnt to a crisp. "Ah!" A blood-curdling scream rang out. Seeing that the flames were still moving towards the other parts of his body, Great Emperor Xiong Kuang decisively revolved his monarch chi and forcefully blew off his arm. He retreated and looked at Chu Hong in fear. Chu Hong threw the charred arm to the side and curled her lips. "Sixth heaven of the Emperor Chu. This is too weak." When Great Emperor Xiong Kuang heard her words, he didn't know how to refute. Indeed, Chu Hong had just stepped into the Emperor realm, but she could easily crush him, a sixth-stage Emperor realm emperor. Looking at it this way, his sixth stage of the Emperor origin realm was really too weak. But could he be blamed for this? It could only be said that the divine phoenix was too blessed by the heavens. The moment he stepped into the Emperor realm, he was already at the peak of the Emperor realm. His peak-grade Emperor origin energy, in addition to the phoenix fire that was said to be able to incinerate all living things in the world, his combat strength was too strong. Chu Kuangren is already so powerful. Now that he has this godly phoenix. ****, I was too reckless. Great Emperor Bear Kuang was extremely vexed. If he knew this was going to happen, he would not have dared to come. "Godly Phoenix, since we're both beasts, please let me go. I'll repay you handsomely in the future," Great Emperor Bear Kuang said. "Only death awaits those who dare to invade my Black Heaven sect." Chu Hong was merciless. She raised her hand and activated the Phoenix Fire again. The Daoist patterns that were formed from the ultimate Daoist path emitted a terrifying fluctuation. ****. If that's the case, then let's perish together." Great Emperor Bear Kuang roared. Then, he transformed into his true form. A giant golden bear the size of a hill, its fur emanating a metallic luster that gave it a sense of indestructibility. The phoenix fire landed on it and charred its fur black, but it could not really burn its skin. The adamantine bear clan has a strong physical body, and this fur is comparable to an emperor weapon. Your phoenix fire may be terrifying, and I can't even defend myself in my human form. But now that I've transformed into my true form, it won't be easy for you to burn me again. Great Emperor Bear Kuang roared. Even though he only had one arm left, he still charged towards Chu Hong with a terrifying aura. With a swipe of his claw, cracks appeared in the void. Just when Chu Hong was about to retaliate, a sword ray suddenly flashed past and sent Great Emperor Bear Kuang flying. Then, a giant colorful hand descended from the sky and grabbed the mountain-like Great Emperor Bear Kuang in mid-air, rendering him immobile. It was Chu Kuangren's 1000 Daoist avatar. "Let go, let go!" Great Emperor Bear Kuang roared. Unfortunately, even if he transformed into his true form, he could not fight back against Chu Kuangren's 1000 Daoist avatar, which was a combination of multiple Daoist physiques. "Die!" Chu Kuangren said. The 1000 Daoist avatar suddenly exerted its strength, and a series of explosions rang out like frying beans. The Daoist patterns, bones, and flesh on Great Emperor Bear Kuangren's body exploded one after another, and he was forcefully crushed into a pile of meat paste. After that, Chu Kuangren simply threw the body into the mountains. In an instant, countless beasts that lived in the Black Heaven sect's territory swarmed up and divided the emperor's body for food. Many of the beasts broke through, and their strength increased greatly. An emperor's body was no different from a peerless treasure to them. Lil read, "Congratulations on becoming an emperor." Chu Kuangren looked at Chu Hong and smiled. "Brother, you're amazing. This little bear's body is so tough that even my phoenix flames can't easily destroy it. I can't believe your avatar could crush it so easily." Chu Hong exclaimed as she looked at the 1,000 Daoist avatar behind Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren dispersed the 1,000 Daoist avatar and looked at Chu Hong. Suddenly, he had an idea. His book of physiques could derive the mysteries of thousands of physiques in the world. Could he derive the godly phoenix physique as well? Just as that thought came to his mind, the book of physiques in the depths of his soul trembled. Then, in Chu Kuangren's vision, a fiery red ball of light appeared on Chu Hong's body. It contained countless Daoist patterns. That was the origin of the godly phoenix physique. Understanding this origin would allow one to master the power of the godly phoenix physique. It really works. Chu Kuangren's eyes lit up. He suddenly understood something. The book of physiques was used to derive the thousands of physiques in the world, but it was not limited to the various Daoist physiques. Every race had a different physique, and these were all within the scope of the book of physiques. Except for the human Daoist physiques. The physiques of other races could also be learned. For example, the various ancient beasts. Looks like I'll have more research materials in the future. Chu Kuangren murmured. Then, he and Chu Hong waited for the divine parasol fruit to ripen. During that time, he also began to study the godly phoenix physique. Chu Hong was very cooperative. Divine beasts were indeed divine beasts. Their physiques alone were not something any Daoist physique could compare to. Even the strongest Daoist physique, the chaotic physique, was slightly inferior to the godly phoenix physique. After the divine parasol fruit ripened, Chu Kuangren spent a full 10 days to understand less than 1/10 of the godly phoenix physique. However, he was not in a hurry. He would continue his research when he returned to the Black Heaven sect. After a few months, he finally understood the mysteries of the godly phoenix physique, and he also mastered the ability to control the phoenix flames. Chapter 664. The godly phoenix physique can't be integrated into the Dharma Daoist physique? In the towering heaven palace, Chu Kuangren was in closed-door meditation, planning to integrate the godly phoenix physique's power into the Dharma Daoist physique's power. However, he realized that it was not compatible. The godly phoenix physique was like a high and mighty noble, while the other Daoist physiques were like the poor. This noble completely disdained to be associated with the poor. Is the godly phoenix physique's level too high? My immortal body and universal cauldron physique's power can't be integrated into the Dharma Daoist physiques. It seems like this is the best I can do for now. Chu Kuangren said helplessly. Although he did not integrate the godly phoenix physique's power into the Dharma Daoist physique's power, it was still something to be happy about. This gave him another way to fight against his enemies. The power of the phoenix flame was not to be underestimated. It was the essence of the myriad flames. There were almost no mystical flames in Firmament Star that were of a higher grade than the phoenix flame. Next, it's time to refine this divine parasol fruit. Chu Kuangren took out the divine parasol fruit. It was one of the 10 great spirit fruits that could be used to increase one's cultivation base. For Chu Kuangren at his current stage, it was very useful. Without hesitation, he quickly swallowed it into his stomach. The taste is not as good as the divine white spirit fruit. Chu Kuangren smacked his lips twice. He wondered how the other spirit fruits would taste like. He felt that if he could taste all 10 of the remaining spirit fruits, he would definitely rank them by taste. Boom! Not long after the divine parasol fruit entered his stomach, Chu Kuangren felt a terrifying force explode within his body and instantly engulf his entire body. Like a vast ocean, a majestic and endless spiritual power erupted. Universal Cauldron Physique, activate. The power contained within the divine parasol fruit was quickly absorbed and refined. Chu Kuangren's cultivation base was also rising. While Chu Kuangren was in closed-door cultivation to refine the divine parasol fruit, a strange change occurred in the purgatory forest. Back when the demonic realm invaded the firmament world, Chu Kuangren used the heaven sword to seal the entire demonic realm. Now that the heavenly Tao was awakened and could absorb the power of emperors, the 7 emperors of the demonic realm. Not only that. Today, outside the purgatory forest, a mysterious person wearing a black cloak appeared and single-handedly broke through the entire purgatory forest. Such strength. You're an emperor. In the purgatory forest, the leader of the Azura clan looked at the mysterious cloaked man in disbelief. All around them, the Azura clansmen had already fallen to the ground. Broken limbs were everywhere, and the smell of blood was horrifying. Die! The cloaked man casually raised his hand and punched out. With a loud boom, the void instantly exploded. The Azura clan leader's strength was completely unable to withstand it, and he was blasted into a bloody mist on the spot. The Azura tribe was annihilated. The mysterious cloaked person looked into the void. She could keenly sense that there was an extremely powerful formation hidden in the void. In the past, the Acheron Heavenly Emperor was only able to suppress the entrance to the demonic realm when he was only a great emperor. I can't believe that Chu Kuangren is able to do something that only a great emperor can do without even reaching the great emperor's cultivation level. He's indeed a monster. The cloaked man said calmly. Following that, she tore open a pitch-black rift in the air and walked into it, arriving in the boundless void. In this void, countless swords were hovering in the air, emanating an endless amount of terrifying sword chi. It was an extremely majestic sight. In the center of the countless swords, there was a black dot. That was the entrance to the demonic realm. However, at this moment, it was suppressed by this endless amount of sword chi. This sword formation is extraordinary. It's hard to imagine that it was created by someone below the level of an emperor. The cloaked person looked at the sword formation in front of her with an emotional expression. Following that, she took a deep breath. The emperor's chi within her surged, and mysterious Daoist patterns began to circulate, turning into a chilling cold chi that gushed out towards the sword formation. With a loud explosion, the sword formation was corroded by the cold chi. One by one, the swords on the periphery fell, and the sword formation's strength was instantly reduced. Seeing that, the cloaked person continued to attack. The cold chi continued to erupt, attacking the sword formation in a frenzy. Although the sealing sword formation was powerful, it could not last long under the continuous attacks of an emperor. One by one, the swords were frozen and fell to the ground. The sword formation's strength was rapidly weakening. Wang, at the center of the sword formation, the black dot seemed to have sensed something. It quickly swelled and turned into a black whirlpool. Waves of terrifying spatial fluctuation spread out from it, and together with the cold air, they attacked the sword formation from both inside and outside. Freezing sky technique, snow dragon palm. The cloaked person hollered. She pushed with her bare hands and terrifying cold chi surged forth once more. Numerous mysterious Daoist patterns intersected, turning into a white dragon that smashed onto the sword formation with even more intense cold chi. With a loud explosion, the surrounding void turbulence was shattered. The sealing sword formation had been broken. Within the Hell Demon world, the 7 demon emperors opened their eyes at the same time. The sword formation has been broken. That damn sword formation is gone. Gather the army and follow me to conquer the human world. I can sense that the heavenly Tao there has awakened and it can contain Emperor-level power. I want to personally descend there and rip that kid who sealed the entrance into pieces. Human world, we are coming. The 7 demon emperors all moved. Within Purgatory Forest, a beautiful figure wearing a mask arrived. She looked at the Asura clan's corpses that littered the ground. Her eyes were hollow as her body trembled and tears streamed down her face. Who did it? Ah. This person was Zhan Hongying, who had just returned from the Emperor's Road. She had failed in the contest for the throne and stayed there for a period of time. She had only returned to the Asura clan today. Who would have thought that the moment she returned, her entire clan was gone? Family, friends, teachers, the old, the weak, the women, and the children were all gone. Zhan Hongying's eyes turned red and blood-colored flowers bloomed on her body, making her look demonic. At that moment, a black whirlpool suddenly appeared high up in the sky. A terrifying spatial fluctuation appeared. That's the entrance to the demon world. Zhan Hongying's expression changed. The sword formation has been broken. Someone opened the entrance to the demon world. This must be the culprit's doing. A cloaked figure charged out of the whirlpool. It's him. Zhan Hongying's eyes were filled with extreme hatred. But just as she was about to give chase, the demon wolf charged out from the black mist behind her and pressed her to the ground, whimpering. Pippi, what are you doing? I want revenge. Woo! No matter how hard Zhan Hongying struggled, the demon wolf Pippi refused to release its claws and pressed her to the ground. Don't go. Don't go. Pippi's beast instincts told it that the cloaked person was extremely dangerous and that Zhan Hongying was no match for him. Going up there would only mean death. In order to protect its impulsive master, it could only do so. Oh, there are still survivors of the Asura clan? The mysterious cloaked person also noticed Zhan Hongying and Pippi. She was surprised that the Asura clan was still alive. Just as she was about to finish off the enemy, a powerful shockwave erupted from the demon world's entrance behind her. The demon world's army is about to arrive. We shouldn't stay here any longer. Let's leave the survivors to the demon race. The mysterious cloaked person murmured. Then, she turned into a streak of light and disappeared. Many people also sensed the reappearance of the demon world's entrance. Chapter 665. What's going on? Is this demonic chi the entrance to the demonic realm? D****, what's going on? Why would the entrance to the demonic realm suddenly appear? Wasn't it sealed by Chu Kuangren back then? Is there anyone nearby? Let's go check it out. There are no emperors guarding that area. The emperors were alerted. Their emperor's thoughts swept across the Purgatory Forest. The Purgatory Forest, as the sealed entrance to the demonic realm, was a sensitive location. It had been eroded by demonic chi before, so the spiritual chi there was not abundant. Coupled with the demonic realm seal, it was separated from the 300 Daoist continents. In other words, there were no emperors guarding that area. Therefore, when the demonic realm broke the seal, no emperors came immediately. Most of the emperors were still observing the situation. For example, how many people from the demonic realm and how many emperors were there? Don't act rashly. Let's stop the demonic chi from spreading first. As for the demonic realm's emperors, let's see how strong they are first. Not bad. There seems to be a survivor of the Asura clan. Should we save her? She's just a boundary emperor. Let her fend for herself. Black Heaven Sect, inside the towering Heaven Palace. Chu Kuangren suddenly opened his eyes, and a terrifying glint flashed across them. The Purgatory Forest's sealing sword formation has been broken? He stored the divine parasol fruit's energy that he had yet to completely refine with his heaven and earth furnace body, then disappeared. Inside the Purgatory Forest. The entrance to the demonic realm was filled with terrifying energy fluctuations. Then, figures walked out one after another, including various demonic creatures such as hellhounds, demonic wolves, demonic dragons, and so on. They were led by 7 demonic emperors. Zhan Hongying recognized them. They were the 7 demonic emperors from the previous demonic realm invasion. Their clones had come to Firmament Star before. But now, it was their true selves. The 7 demonic emperors descended upon Firmament Star, and their terrifying emperor's aura swept across the void like a tidal wave, shaking the entire firmament. Zhan Hongying could not move under the pressure. They're real emperors. And with such strength, they're no ordinary emperors. Zhan Hongying had experienced the emperor's aura in the Emperor Mountains, but even Zi Wuji, Wang Quan, and the other new emperor's aura combined was no match for any one of the 7 demon emperors. My original body has finally descended upon this world. The heavenly way has recovered. This is a good time. In this way, we can use our abilities without fear. Demon Emperor Pride sneered. Beside him, the other demon emperors were all smiles. Then, the muscular Wrath Demon Emperor seemed to have discovered something. He looked at the corpses of the Azura tribe members on the ground and sneered, "Looks like someone helped us break the sword array, which is why the entrance was opened. I wonder who is so kind? Heh, we've opened the entrance to the demon world, but there's no sign of anyone. It seems like the person who helped us break the seal has other intentions. It doesn't matter. As long as we can get out, Firmament Star will be our world. As long as they don't threaten us, it's fine." The few demon emperors were discussing. When the monarch's senses in the surroundings swept past the 7 of them, the monarchs couldn't help but click their tongues in wonder. The strength of the 7 monarchs of the devil world was too powerful. Even the weakest among them had a complete imperial emperor cultivation level. In comparison, although Firmament Star had an advantage in terms of the number of monarchs, they were still lacking in top-tier monarchs. The strength of the 7 monarchs of the devil world has reached such a level. Looks like this is going to be a tough battle. Just as the monarchs were discussing how to end this battle, the 7 monarchs of the devil world made a new move. Open the demonic realm territory. Demon Emperor Pride said calmly. He took out a black iron order with the word Pride engraved on it. The other demon emperors nodded and each took out an iron order. Those iron orders were engraved with the words greed, envy, wrath, lust, gluttony, sloth, and pride. There were a total of 7 of them. The 7 black iron orders engraved with the title of Demon Emperor collided in the air, and an indescribable mysterious wave instantly spread out, forming a terrifying force field within a 10,000-mile radius. Or rather, a territory. This was the demonic realm territory. All the monarchs felt this territory and their expressions changed slightly. They could actually feel a threat from this territory. That's the demonic realm territory. Star Condensation Great Emperor frowned slightly. Legend has it that the 7 monarchs of the devil world can work together to form a territory. Within that territory, creatures that are not from the devil world will be greatly suppressed, unable to unleash their full strength. I'm afraid this is the reason why the 7 monarchs dare to conquer the world. Thinking of this, the monarchs could not help but hesitate. The 7 monarchs were all full-fledged monarchs. Coupled with this demonic realm territory, even the 300 monarchs would not be able to win. This demonic realm territory is too overpowered. Rumor has it that it has something to do with the gods of hell. Let's inform the Celestial Honorable Council and have them come. This matter is no longer something that ordinary monarchs can interfere with. The monarchs kept communicating in the void. These monarchs came to Firmament Star mainly to watch over the gods that were sealed, and to collect some treasures and the like. It was basically impossible for them to risk their lives for this. Otherwise, they would have gone to the extraterrestrial battlefield to fight. Why would they come to Firmament Star to stay and live a comfortable and leisurely life? Inside the Purgatory Forest. After the demonic realm territory was opened, the demonic chi between heaven and earth suddenly became much stronger. Countless demonic creatures roared in excitement. Remnants of the Ashura tribe. The Wrath Demon Emperor suddenly noticed Zhan Hongying and Pippi below. He grinned and slowly descended to the ground. The moment his feet touched the ground, the entire ground exploded. Zhan Hongying and Pippi were sent flying by the terrifying demonic aura. How terrifying! Zhan Hongying lay on the ground, vomiting blood. Her opponent did not even make a move. Just his aura alone was enough to injure her. She felt like an ant in front of the Wrath Demon Emperor. No, she was even worse than an ant. Woman, kneel down and kowtow to me. Maybe I'll let you go. How about that? You want me to beg for mercy from the demonic race? Impossible. You've got guts. The Wrath Demon Emperor chuckled. He raised his hand and summoned demonic chi to form a giant black hand that grabbed Zhan Hongying in midair. Kacha, kacha, kacha. Zhan Hongying's bones, flesh, and blood exploded. Is it painful? If you beg for mercy, I'll let you go. The Wrath Demon Emperor laughed. Although Zhan Hongying screamed in pain, she did not beg for mercy. The emperors who were watching shook their heads and sighed. It's better to live than to die. To put it nicely, these Ashura tribe members are stubborn. To put it bluntly, they don't know what's good for them. Forget it. She's just a boundary emperor. Although she's talented and has the potential to become an emperor, this is as far as she can go. Just as Zhan Hongying was about to fall, a sword ray suddenly shot out. It was wrapped in extremely condensed Daoist markings and Emperor's chi. It locked onto the Wrath Demon Emperor. The Wrath Demon Emperor's pupils dilated and he threw a punch. With a bang, the fist and the sword collided. Under the impact of the demonic chi and Emperor's chi, the beautiful white jade sword was sent flying and landed in the hands of a young man. It's you. Chapter 666. It's you. The Wrath Demon Emperor was knocked back a few steps. His pupils dilated when he saw who it was. That person was dressed in a snow-white robe, had waist-length hair, and held a beautiful white jade sword in his hand. With a single step, he seemed to have crossed the distance of tens of thousands of meters to reach Zhan Hongying's side. He then cast the Spring Breeze healing technique to heal Zhan Hongying. However, he realized that the spiritual chi in the surroundings had been corroded by demonic chi, so the Spring Breeze healing technique's effects were minimal. Fortunately, Chu Kuangren was a top-notch healer. He channeled his Emperor's chi and formed a water droplet at the tip of his finger. The water droplet landed on Zhan Hongying's forehead, protecting her last bit of life. He then looked around and sighed. It's me. I'm too late. The Ashura tribe has protected the demonic realm for hundreds of thousands of years. Their spirits are immortal and will be passed down from generation to generation. There was a hint of sadness in his eyes. In front of him, the Wrath Demon Emperor laughed. No, you're not late. I can send you down to accompany them. Chu Kuangren put away his sadness and looked at the Wrath Demon Emperor with a cold murderous intent. You're right. They're still waiting for someone to apologize to them. I'll send you down today. He handed Zhan Hongying over to the demonic wolf beside him and said, Take care of your master. Leave this to me. Woo! The demonic wolf grabbed Zhan Hongying with its mouth, threw her onto its back, and left. After her. The Wrath Demon Emperor said. Suddenly, a group of demonic soldiers chased after Zhan Hongying. With a thought from Chu Kuangren, he lifted his hand and a stream of crimson flames gushed out, incinerating all the soldiers who were chasing after him into ashes. Kill every single demon that descends upon this realm today. Chu Kuangren held the Descendant Self-Sword in his right hand while his left burned with crimson phoenix flames. His cold and burning murderous intent enveloped the entire realm. The demonic emperor's eyes widened. He's an emperor. How long has it been since we last met, and he's already an emperor? This person's speed of growth is unbelievable. There was a hint of wariness in Demon Emperor Pride's eyes. Including this time, he had only met Chu Kuangren a total of 3 times. The first time, Chu Kuangren was just an honorable. The second time, Chu Kuangren had become a boundary emperor, and this time, Chu Kuangren had become an emperor. Not only that, it's always you. You're always the one standing in front of the Devil Realm. You're really the biggest stumbling block for the Devil Realm. Demon Emperor Pride said in a low voice, "Alright, I'll avenge my son Tu Heng today." Tu Heng, the forbidden prodigy of the demon race. He was also a strong candidate for the throne. However, he was killed by Chu Kuangren in the Emperor's Road. Ever since Demon Emperor Pride heard of this news, he had been brooding over it. He and Chu Kuangren had long become mortal enemies. Kill. Demon Emperor Pride was the first to make his move. A dark red longsword suddenly appeared in his hand, and a surging saber ray circulated before it turned into a 1,000-meter-long saber shadow that slashed down at Chu Kuangren. Invincible magic, reverse heaven and earth. Chu Kuangren also unleashed a sword attack. However, the moment the saber shadow and sword ray came into contact, Chu Kuangren was at a disadvantage for the first time. His entire body was blasted back several hundred meters by the saber ray. Chu Kuangren frowned. Indeed. Demon Emperor Pride's cultivation base was at the 9th level of the Emperor Realm. After absorbing the divine parasol fruit, Chu Kuangren's cultivation base had also reached the 4th level of the Emperor Realm. That was already a great emperor. On top of that, he had a top-tier profound technique, a perfect Tao, and an ultimate emperor's essence. Chu Kuangren was confident that he should not have been at a disadvantage in that attack. However, after he unleashed that sword attack, its power was greatly reduced as if it was being suppressed by a certain force. It's this realm. This realm is suppressing my Tao and power. Chu Kuangren murmured as he realized that something was wrong. Chu Kuangren, do you know why the other emperors of Firmament Star didn't come? It's because of this demonic realm domain. Within this domain, any non-demonic beings will be suppressed. I can't believe you have the guts to step in alone. Demon Emperor Pride sneered. The other demon emperors looked like they were watching a show. They did not interfere. From their point of view, Chu Kuangren was no match for their real bodies. Coupled with the demonic realm domain, Demon Emperor Pride alone was enough to deal with him. Heh, don't compare me to those cowards. Chu Kuangren chuckled. He activated the Emperor's Qi in his body and activated the 10,000 avatar. The emperors who were secretly observing the situation frowned. They were very unhappy with Chu Kuangren's words. What does this guy mean? Humph, he's still so arrogant at a time like this. Just because of what he said earlier, I originally wanted to save him, but now I don't even want to anymore. That's right. We must let him suffer a little. The emperors communicated through their emperor's thoughts. Meanwhile, in the Black Heaven sect, several rays of light were rushing towards the Purgatory Forest. They were Lan Yu, the godly phoenix, and the other new emperors. They wanted to support Chu Kuangren. However, before they could even get close to the Purgatory Forest, they were blocked by an invisible force. It was the demonic realm domain. Inside the Purgatory Forest. The Demon Emperor of Greed licked his lips and said, I've just activated the demonic realm domain's barrier. As long as we don't agree, the other emperors won't be able to enter. Kid, you're all alone now. Outside the Purgatory Forest. Murong Xian, Lan Yu, and the others were attacking the demonic realm's barrier. They activated their emperor's Qi and continuously attacked the demonic realm's barrier. However, they were all blocked and could not be moved. After all, they were just a few new emperors. Emperors, are you guys going to continue watching the show? That's right. The demonic realm has invaded and Firmament Star is in danger. As emperors, are you guys going to sit back and do nothing? Murong Xian questioned the emperors. He knew that the emperors were watching this battle. Newcomer Emperor, you don't know how powerful the demonic realm domain is. If we enter, our combat strength will be reduced to less than 10%. This battle is no longer something we can handle. We've already reported it to the higher-ups. The Celestial Condensation Emperor's voice sounded. Murong Xian's expression darkened. Since we've reported it to the Heavenly Venerables, when will they arrive? A day at the earliest. Firmament Star is the origin of the Heavenly Tao. The Heavenly Venerables will not sit back and watch as the demonic realm takes over this place. A day? Do you think the sect leader will have enough time to stop the hundreds of millions of demonic army and the 7 demonic emperors for a day? Murong Xian was so angry that his face turned pale. Isn't Chu Kuangren very powerful? I believe this small matter is nothing to him. Who knows, he might even turn the tables and wipe out the entire demonic army. A playful voice was heard. It was Dark North Xuance's voice. He had a grudge against Chu Kuangren, so he could not help but mock him when he saw that Chu Kuangren was at a disadvantage. You guys. Murong Xian could tell that the emperors wanted to use this opportunity to make Chu Kuangren suffer. However, there was nothing he could do. With his strength as a new emperor, coupled with Lan Yu, Leng Ningyu, and the godly phoenix, it was impossible for them to break through the barrier. Chapter 667. Within the Purgatory Forest. Chu Kuangren had single-handedly fought against the entire demonic army. However, due to the suppression of the demon realm, his Tao and cultivation had been greatly weakened. Even with a powerful move like the 10,000 Daoist, he was still at a disadvantage against Demon Emperor Pride. If this goes on, it will be very disadvantageous for me. Chu Kuangren muttered. He took a deep breath, and a silver-white Tao pattern flowed on his palm. Fine, I'll try this power. Chu Kuangren clenched his fists, and a majestic surge of heavenly poise erupted from his body, causing the weaker demonic cultivators around him to tremble. A layer of miraculous Tao patterns covered the 10,000 Dharma characteristics. That was the Heaven Punishment Tao pattern. The Heavenly Punishment Tao pattern appeared, and the 10,000 Dharma forms punched out. The terrifying power directly created pitch-black cracks in the air. Demon Emperor Pride was caught off guard, and he was sent flying by this punch, smashing through several mountain ranges in succession. The demonic army widened their eyes and fell into a deathly silence. The other demon emperors were also shocked, not daring to believe it. Even Chu Kuangren himself was a little shocked. He felt that the strange suppressive feeling around him had disappeared. Right now, he was not suppressed at all. His entire body was relaxed. What's going on? Can the Heaven Punishment Tao pattern counteract this suppression? Chu Kuangren could feel the rising energy in his body and could not help but feel a little surprised. A thoughtful look appeared in his eyes. Demon Emperor Pride rushed out of the mountain range. That punch just now had caused him some injuries, but it was just a little. What shocked him even more was, the demonic realm domain was useless against Chu Kuangren. Such a thing was almost impossible to happen. What's going on? Demon Emperor Pride looked a little surprised. This realm of the demon realm originates from the gods of hell. Even a celestial master can't be completely unaffected. How did you do it? The gods of hell? Chu Kuangren muttered. It seemed like it was really the effect of the Heaven Punishment Tao pattern. In the past, when he used the power of the Heavenly Punishment Tao rhyme to fight against the Light God and Dark God, they had shown fear towards the Heavenly Punishment Tao rhyme. Right now, the power of the Devil Realm domain originated from the gods. It could suppress Empyreans, but it couldn't suppress him, who had the heavenly punishment Tao pattern. In other words, the heavenly punishment Tao pattern had a restraining effect on the gods. Interesting. Does this mean that I'll have to face the gods sooner or later? Chu Kuangren smirked. The heavenly punishment pattern covered the Dharma form. Around him, his aura was rising steadily, and the cultivation of the fourth level of the sovereign realm was fully unleashed. His perfect Tao and ultimate Empyrean origin all erupted. Boom, boom, with Chu Kuangren as the epicenter, the terrifying emperor's aura spread in all directions, shaking everything within 100,000 kilometers. The emperors who were observing from the shadows were shocked. How could this be? How could he have such power? Previously, he was clearly in the second stage. How did he become a fourth stage cultivator? Even if he has the divine parasol fruit, isn't the speed of his refinement a little too fast? He's not affected by the domain of the demonic world? How did he do it? There's also this kind of Tao pattern. What exactly is it? It's really too mysterious. Even with my cultivation, I can't comprehend a single bit of it. All the emperors looked at Chu Kuangren in bewilderment. In such a short time, Chu Kuangren had broken through from the second level of the emperor realm to the fourth level. Not only that, but he had also unleashed combat strength that far exceeded his cultivation level. Moreover, he was not affected by the demonic world's domain at all. All of these made the emperors feel incredulous. A new emperor was able to shock them again and again. That Tao pattern is, the star condensation great emperor, who was the leader of the group of emperors, seemed to have thought of something when he saw the heavenly punishment Tao pattern on Chu Kuangren's body. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Somewhere else, on a certain mountain peak, the mysterious cloaked person who had just opened the demonic realm's seal and left the infernal forest was also watching the battle between the demonic realm and Chu Kuangren. When she saw the heavenly punishment Tao pattern on Chu Kuangren's body, she was equally shocked. The power of the heavenly punishment, the heavenly executioner. Impossible, this is impossible. How can Chu Kuangren be a heavenly executioner? There are only so many heavenly executioners. How did a new heavenly executioner appear out of nowhere? Besides, those few heavenly executioners were all trusted aides of the human king. Now that the human king is dead, how did Chu Kuangren gain such power? The mysterious cloaked person was extremely shocked. A heavenly executioner. To her, or to the organization behind her, this was extremely terrifying. It was an existence that even the deities were afraid of. Chu Kuangren. This matter is of great importance. We must report this to the leader and the others as soon as possible. A new heavenly executioner that came out of nowhere is just too unbelievable. The mysterious cloaked person murmured. In the infernal forest, Chu Kuangren activated the heavenly punishment Tao pattern, the ultimate emperor essence, and the perfect Daoist. His power shook the entire demonic realm. Even Demon Emperor Pride, who was a ninth heaven emperor, felt waves of pressure. The rest of the demonic emperors looked solemn as well. This guy is too scary. He wasn't even an emperor the last time we met, but now he's so powerful. He's always the one standing in front of us. D***M. Let's attack together. We must kill him today. This person is not affected by the demonic realm's domain suppression. We can't let him live. The demonic emperors looked at each other and made up their minds. 7 different emperors' auras erupted and locked onto Chu Kuangren. Kill. The 7 demonic emperors charged at Chu Kuangren together. Come. Chu Kuangren, who was going all out for the first time, was not afraid at all. He activated the 10,000 avatar Daoist and clashed with the 7 demonic emperors. Furious flow. The enraged demonic emperor let out a roar as he unleashed his demonic chi, which turned into a black torrent that surged towards Chu Kuangren. At the same time, the 10,000 Daoists punched the black torrent. With a loud bang, cracks appeared in the space. The Wrath Demon Emperor was sent flying by the terrifying power that erupted from the fusion of multiple Dao bodies, and smashed into the demonic realm army. Some of the demonic creatures that were hit by him exploded. When Chu Kuangren was still in the second stage Emperor realm, he could already suppress 2 6th stage Daoist realm cultivators with just the 10,000 Daoist avatar. Now that he had advanced to the 4th stage of the Emperor realm, under the situation where the ultimate Emperor origin energy was fully unleashed, even a 9th stage realm would find it hard to resist. Unless it was those 9th stage realm cultivators with extremely strong foundations. However, the Wrath Demon Emperor's foundation was not very strong. He only had an incomplete Dao and mid-grade Emperor essence, which was why he was sent flying by this punch. The other demonic emperors also attacked Chu Kuangren. Devourer of Greed. Proud Heart Secret Art. Eye of Jealousy. Heaven Devouring Undercurrent. Several different Emperor/S auras erupted with countless mysterious Daoist patterns that covered the heavens and earth as they blasted towards Chu Kuangren. The attack came from all directions. Even the 10,000 Daoists could not completely block it. Phoenix Flames. Chu Kuangren let out a low roar, and terrifying blood-red flames gushed out from his surroundings. The 10,000 Daoist avatar also let out a low roar and waved its fists. The Phoenix Flames and Daoist avatar energy erupted at the same time. Coupled with the heavenly punishment Daoist patterns, its power was multiplied. Amidst the explosion, the terrifying impact caused cracks to spread across the space. The entire purgatory forest was completely shattered. Chapter 668. Inside the purgatory forest, amidst a sea of fire, Chu Kuangren controlled the 10,000 Daoist avatars and faced the 7 demonic emperors alone. The emperors who were secretly observing felt their breaths getting heavier. Not only did he have so many Daoist physiques, but he could also control the Phoenix Flames. That was the power of the godly Phoenix. They even wondered if Chu Kuangren could undergo nirvana. In fact, Chu Kuangren could. The godly Phoenix physique also gave him the ability to undergo nirvana. However, he had the immortal body, so he could not use the nirvana ability. All of you, attack! The furious demonic emperor roared. In an instant, the hundreds of millions of demonic soldiers behind him surged towards Chu Kuangren. The demonic chi was like a torrent that shook the heavens and earth. There were demons, demonic dragons, 3-headed hounds, demonic wolves, and so on. There were countless of them. Aside from their species, most of them were at the honorable realm. A portion of them were sages and boundary emperors. Even an emperor would have a hard time against such a large army. The 7 demonic emperors wanted to overwhelm Chu Kuangren with numbers. Unfortunately, Chu Kuangren was least afraid of group battles. What he was best at was fighting a group alone. Demonic scum, I'll kill as many as you come. Chu Kuangren grinned as a ray of lightning shot out from his body. The lightning flew into the demonic army, and wherever it went, the demonic soldiers were crushed by the terrifying lightning energy. The lightning returned to Chu Kuangren and turned into a blue guqin. Emperor Weapon, Spring Thunder. Chu Kuangren placed all 10 fingers on the guqin strings, and the celestial demonic music was played. The celestial demonic music unleashed its destructive power. The horrifying sound waves were accompanied by the solidified Daoist patterns that spread out and danced in the air, shattering countless demonic soldiers. The heads of demonic hounds, the arms of demonic dragons, broken weapons, blood-stained armors, and internal organs mixed with blood danced in the air. The ultimate sound of the human world painted a scene of Azura purgatory. The heavens and earth were boundless, and the city was filled with wind and rain. Chu Kuangren's guqin music became louder and louder, and the guqin Daoist pattern surrounded him. Not a single demonic soldier could get within 10 feet of him. D*Eminit, D***mn. This guy has too many tricks up his sleeves. It'll be difficult to win in a group battle. The only way is to defeat him. Demonic soldiers, form the demonic dragon formation. Demon Emperor Pride roared. Countless demon soldiers heard the summons and lined up in the air. In next to no time, an enormous formation was set up while profound Dao markings flowed about, and it transformed into a pitch-black and savage enormous devil dragon. Roar! With a furious roar, the demonic dragon released a terrifying sound wave that overpowered the Guqin music. Chu Kuangren's 8 celestial demonic chords could not help but stagnate. Oh, the power of the demonic world's formation, the demonic dragon? Let's try this. When Chu Kuangren lifted his arm, a huge amount of phoenix flames surged into the sky. The phoenix fire gathered in the air along with countless runes, turning into a blood-red divine phoenix. A sharp cry rang out, and countless demonic beasts felt a tremble from the depths of their bloodlines. This was the might of a divine beast. The blood-red divine phoenix condensed from phoenix fire and the demonic dragon condensed from demonic energy collided in the air, and a terrifying shockwave spread out continuously. Roar! The battle between the divine phoenix and the demonic dragon dyed the sky black and red. The surrounding mountains and rivers shook violently. The emperors who were secretly observing the battle were shocked by this power. This power is no longer something an ordinary 9th-level Emperor Realm cultivator can compare to. What's this guy's limit? Or rather, does he even have a limit? How did he master the godly phoenix's power? Even Chu Hong was secretly amazed. Big Brother's phoenix fire is even better than mine. It's amazing. Although she was a godly phoenix. However, after Chu Kuangren mastered the godly phoenix physique, the power of his phoenix fire was the same as hers. Coupled with the gap in their realms, Chu Kuangren's phoenix fire was even more powerful than Chu Hong's. Boom, 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 the battle between the demonic dragon and the godly phoenix became more and more intense. When the 7 demonic emperors saw that, they looked at each other and charged towards Chu Kuangren while he was controlling the godly phoenix to fight the demonic dragon. Oh, you guys really know how to seize the opportunity. Unfortunately, you've underestimated me. Chu Kuangren moved his mind, and the 10,000 Daoist avatars behind him moved, blocking all the demonic emperor's attacks. Chu Kuangren was multitasking, but he was still able to deal with the attacks with ease. Not only that, but he also played the celestial demonic chord. A terrifying sound wave instantly erupted. This time, it was the 8th celestial demonic chord, Grand Note of Silence. The soundless Guqin music carried physical Daoist patterns and crashed into the demonic soldiers who were setting up the formation in the distance. The demonic emperor's expressions changed. Oh no! The Guqin music landed among the demonic soldiers and exploded. Countless demonic soldiers' flesh and blood exploded, and broken limbs flew everywhere. The formation that spawned the demonic dragon was destroyed, and the demonic dragon in the sky was greatly weakened. It was immediately suppressed by the godly phoenix. Not long after, the phoenix fire burned the demonic chi and burned the entire demonic dragon into ashes. Not only that, but the godly phoenix let out a piercing shriek and charged into the demonic army. It exploded, and an endless amount of phoenix fire gushed out in all directions. Amidst the screams, countless demonic soldiers were turned into ashes. D***mn. The 7 demonic emperors' expressions were extremely grim. Guqin music and phoenix fire were enough to kill any ordinary demonic soldier. Chu Kuangren had killed hundreds of millions of demonic soldiers, but he had lost almost half of them. On the other hand, his opponent was unscathed. This guy is really the nemesis of the demonic realm. Is there really nothing the demonic realm can do to him? The demonic emperors gritted their teeth. The demonic soldiers were terrified. Everyone, do you still remember the power of 7 sins? Just then, Demon Emperor Pride took a deep breath and said. The other demonic emperor's expressions changed. You're crazy. Demon Emperor Wrath growled. I'm not crazy. This is the only way to deal with this guy. It's a little risky, but it's worth a try. Demon Emperor Pride said firmly. The demonic emperor's expressions changed as if they were hesitant. We've never tried this before. Then today is the best chance. Let's try it. Demon Emperor Wrath gritted his teeth and said. Bring it on then. Demon Emperor Envy, Demon Emperor Greed, and the others also had a determined look in their eyes. Then, the 7 of them stood together. Chu Kuangren watched from the side while the 10,000 avatars behind him unleashed a punch. However, a strange fluctuation emanated from the 7 demonic emperors' bodies, forcing the 10,000 avatars to retreat. The 7 demonic emperors turned into 7 rays of black light that converged in the air and formed a huge black light cocoon. There were Daoist patterns on it, and one could vaguely see a human figure floating in the light cocoon. This is the power of 7 sins. An old demonic cultivator gulped and said. The other demonic cultivators were shocked too. Legend has it that the power of the 7 demonic emperors originates from the deities, and their powers can merge with each other. That new power is called the power of 7 sins. So it's true. The power of 7 sins is close to the power of the gods. Chu Kuangren's interest was piqued as he looked at the black light cocoon. Close to the power of the gods? Interesting. Let's see what you can do. Chapter 669. Inside the black light cocoon, a figure floated. An incomparably tyrannical aura that far surpassed the 9th stage of the Imperial Emperor realm poured out, causing the surrounding space to tremble. Everything within a radius of 10,000 miles was shocked. Immediately afterward, a hand stretched out from the black light cocoon, and the entire light cocoon turned into light spots and quickly dissipated, revealing a slender figure. It was an extremely seductive man with long purple hair, a black armor clinging to his body, and a long saber in his hand. The Emperor's aura on his body was like a tide, spreading wave after wave. All the creatures from the demonic realm could not help but feel a sense of surrender, wanting to kneel on the ground and worship. 7 sins, is this the power of 7 sins? It's really strong. The seductive man stood in the air, feeling the surging demonic qi in his body, and a joyful smile appeared on his face. Chu Kuangren watched from the side and activated his eye of revelation. The fusion of the power of 7 demonic emperors, blessed by the power of the gods, how should I address you now? Arrogant, greedy, angry? Chu Kuangren said playfully. 7 sins. My name is 7 sins. The seductive man, 7 sins, said proudly. He looked at Chu Kuangren with cold eyes, as if he was looking at a dead man, without the slightest emotion. He took a step forward and instantly appeared in front of Chu Kuangren. The long saber in his hand turned into a black arc light and suddenly slashed out. Chu Kuangren also slashed out with the long sword in his hand. A clang was heard. The sword and saber collided, and the qi and Daoist patterns danced and shot out. Chu Kuangren was repelled. The 10,000 avatars behind him punched out at the same time, and the surging avatar power gathered like a destructive storm that locked onto 7 sins. Do you think your avatar power is still useful? 7 sins laughed and slashed out again. The black saber light whistled and tore the storm apart, forcing the avatar back. However, a mysterious Daoist pattern crossed the void and landed on him, causing him to vomit blood and fly backward. This power again? What the hell is this thing? 7 sins looked at the heavenly punishment Daoist patterns that circulated around Chu Kuangren, and his eyes darkened with fear. After transforming into 7 sins, he felt that the threat of the heavenly punishment Dao pattern to him had actually increased. Chu Kuangren had noticed this as well. The power of the 7 sins is basically the power of the gods. However, my heavenly punishment Daoist pattern can restrain the gods, and the 7 sins happens to be the target of its restraint. He made up his mind to study this heaven punishment Dao pattern when he returned. He felt that this thing would be of great use to him in the future, especially when it came to dealing with the gods. Even if you have this strange Daoist mark, the gap between you and me is huge now. You're doomed to die today. 7 Sins said coldly, its killing intent towards Chu Kuangren growing stronger. A gap in cultivation? That's hard to say. Suddenly, Chu Kuangren activated his mind power. In the air, a large number of mysterious patterns appeared and condensed into a gigantic colorful rune. 9 Dragons Divine Transformation. The divine 9 dragon transformation talismans appeared, and the demonic energy in the surroundings surged toward the talismans in a frenzy, turning into 9 ferocious roaring demonic dragons. 7 Sins' expression changed slightly. What are you doing? Chu Kuangren did not say a word, but the 9 ferocious demonic dragons had already swooped down towards him and quickly merged into his body. You're crazy. How dare you forcefully inject demonic chi? 7 Sins said in disbelief. Not only him, but the rest of the emperors were also shocked. The demonic chi was different from the firmament star's spiritual chi. For non-demonic beings, it was like poisonous gas that was harmful to them. Yet now, Chu Kuangren dared to forcefully inject demonic chi into his body. In the eyes of the crowd, such an act was tantamount to suicide. I know that talisman of his. This person can use this talisman to transform the spiritual chi of heaven and earth into dragon chi, and then forcefully increase his cultivation. So what if that's the case? He's forcefully absorbing demonic chi now, which is useless to humans. There's demonic chi everywhere in this demonic realm domain. How much spiritual chi is there for him to absorb? He's dead meat. What happened next was even more shocking to the crowd. They saw that Chu Kuangren, who had forcefully absorbed the demonic chi into his body, did not show any signs of discomfort like everyone had imagined. On the contrary, his aura was still rising steadily. Emperor level 5, Emperor level 6, Emperor level 7. With the help of the 9 dragons' divine transformation talisman, Chu Kuangren's cultivation had broken through 3 levels and reached the Emperor level 7 in one fell swoop. In other words, he was a perfected emperor. Everyone was dumbfounded by this scene. What kind of talisman is that? How can it be so powerful? How can he absorb demonic chi? The emperors were shocked and puzzled. 7 Sins, on the other hand, felt an immense pressure. After Chu Kuangren felt the surge of power in his body, a satisfied smile appeared on his face. Not too bad. The 9 Dragons' Divine Transformation Talisman was a legendary talisman. As his cultivation grew stronger, its power would correspondingly increase as well. With his current cultivation level, it allowed him to break through 3 levels in one go and become a perfected emperor. As for absorbing demonic chi into his body, that was not a problem for Chu Kuangren at all. To put it bluntly, devil chi was just a kind of strange energy. Since he had the universal cauldron physique, he could absorb all kinds of strange energies between heaven and earth. Demonic chi and spiritual chi were no different to him. Come, let's continue. Chu Kuangren looked at 7 Sins and said. Once the Descendant Self-Sword was unleashed, it would be an invincible technique. The strange phenomenon of the sun and the moon being reversed and the stars falling suddenly erupted. This technique of invincibility was accompanied by the heavenly punishment Daoist patterns, which formed a restraining effect on 7 Sins and made him feel even more pressured. Pride slash. 7 Sins raised his hand and slashed out a blade, colliding with the technique of invincibility. However, the huge force sent 7 Sins flying backward by a few dozen feet. His body trembled violently, and the power of 7 Sins showed signs of collapsing. I don't believe this. Eye of jealousy. A terrifying demonic light burst out from Seven Sin's eyes, as if it had pierced through the void and shot towards Chu Kuangren. Heaven Vortex. Daoist patterns flowed between Chu Kuangren's palms and condensed into a vortex. The demonic light was absorbed by the vortex, disintegrated, and then reflected. Seven Sins did not expect such a result and was blasted back again. Devourer of Greed. Raging Fist. Seven Sins attacked again, and the billowing demonic chi turned into a giant black snake. Huge fist shadows whizzed towards Chu Kuangren from the left and right. Break! Chu Kuangren let out a soft roar, and the 10,000 Daoist avatars behind him, wrapped in Daoist patterns, smashed the demonic snake fist. D*Emenit, D*Emenit. Blade of Lust. Seven Sin's face was as gloomy as water, and he activated his strongest technique. As the blade slashed down, the surroundings turned into an ambiguous pink, and one by one, seductive women flew towards Chu Kuangren in the air. These women were either laughing, annoyed, or resentful. Each of them was a heavenly beauty that was enough to make people fall head over heels for them. Even the emperors who were secretly observing could not help but be in a trance for a moment, feeling extremely fearful. Because behind these seductive women, there was a huge blade shadow following closely. Once one was confused by the scene in front of them, this blade would take advantage of the moment when one was distracted and cut them in half. Lust was like a blade above one's head. However, Chu Kuangren's eyes were clear, and he was not affected at all. You're just some female skeletons, and you want to mess with my Daoist core? Break! Chapter 670. The heavenly punishment Daoist pattern can be combined with runes? I see. After witnessing the 7 divine punishments, Chu Kuangren had a new understanding of the heavenly punishment Daoist pattern. In the following days, he devoted himself to the study of the heavenly punishment Daoist pattern. Besides that, a series of changes were also happening in Firmament Star. For example, the heavenly Dao's revival, the rise of various sky prides, the emergence of various treasures, the unsealing of the deities, and the rise of some sects. Time flew, and 3 months had passed. In these 3 months, the changes were not huge, but if one were to put it simply, everyone could clearly feel that Firmament Star had changed. The spiritual chi was more abundant, the treasures were more abundant, and it was easier for cultivators to cultivate. This was especially true in the Black Heaven sect's territory. How many treasures have been unearthed this month? In the Black Heaven sect, Elder Rian looked at a disciple carrying back a huge piece of jade that contained extremely pure energy. This should be the 6th. Put it in the treasury, Elder Rian said. In the past few months, because of the godly phoenix's presence, various treasures had appeared in the Black Heaven sect's territory, making many emperors envious. However, those emperors did not dare to have any strange thoughts. After all, with the godly phoenix's identity, who would dare to mess around? Moreover, many people were guessing that Chu Kuangren was also a person of great fortune. Otherwise, how could the godly phoenix have produced so many treasures in a small area of 100,000 kilometers? However, that was only a guess, and there was no solid evidence. Black Heaven sect, inside the towering Heaven Palace. Chu Kuangren ended his closed-door meditation and opened the fantasy roulette. In the past 3 months, he had also been drawing gems. However, at his current cultivation level, most of the items he drew were no longer useful to him. Hence, he would put all the prizes into the Black Heaven sect's treasury. For so many years, the Black Heaven sect had been consuming resources, but Elder Rian and the others had never felt like they were stretched thin. On the contrary, everyone felt that the more treasures they used, the more treasures they had. Let's begin the gems. Congratulations, host. You have obtained a Supreme Deity Grade Divine Ability Upgrade card. Divine Ability Upgrade card. Chu Kuangren's eyes lit up. Another Supreme Deity reward. With his current cultivation level, ordinary legendary level rewards were no longer of much use to him. Only God level and transcendent God level rewards would be of great help to him, such as Undying Body, Space Transportation Technique. These divine level rewards were still very useful to him. There was no need to mention the Book of Physique and the Luck Glow at the transcendent level. The former had allowed him to draw quite a few good items. Without this halo, he probably wouldn't have improved so quickly. As for the latter, as he delved deeper into his research, its value gradually manifested. Now, he had drawn another transcendent reward. He opened his inventory. Supreme God level reward, Divine Ability Upgrade Card. Using this card, you can upgrade a specified mystical ability. There is a certain chance that it will be upgraded to the transcendent stage. This card made Chu Kuangren fall into deep thought. A specific divine ability? Right now, I have the space transfer technique, the 4 symbols primordial divine sword, the treasure-seeking technique, and the insightful eye. Since it's an upgrade, of course it's best to maximize the usefulness of this card. Right now, the most useful ones are the insightful eye and the space transfer technique. I'll choose between these two. Chu Kuangren pondered. After thinking for a while, he finally chose the insightful eye. This divine ability had been with him for the longest time and had helped him a lot. As for the space transfer technique, although it was also very powerful, it was not like there were no techniques in this world that were related to space. However, the insightful eye was different. This was the most unique divine ability that Chu Kuangren had ever seen. He really wanted to know what kind of effect this divine ability would have if it was upgraded. At that thought, he used the Divine Ability Upgrade card. Choose to upgrade Divine Ability, Insightful Eye. Yes. Insightful Eye upgrading, progress, 1%. Divine abilities needed a certain amount of time to upgrade, so Chu Kuangren no longer paid attention to it and let it upgrade on its own. After that, he left the Towering Heaven Palace and patrolled around the Black Heaven sect, paying special attention to the location of the hidden illusory secret realm. There, many disciples were queuing up to enter the hidden illusory secret realm. He smiled in satisfaction. These guys are quite self-aware. As the saying goes, the master leads the way, but the cultivation is up to the individual. If these guys were not self-aware and did not work hard, no matter how many resources Chu Kuangren prepared for them, it would be useless. Upon arriving at the Longevity Hall, Elder Ruyan was busy sorting out some of the treasures. Seeing that Chu Kuangren had arrived, Elder Ruyan glanced at him and said, "Sect leader, please remember to categorize the items you put into the treasury next time. Weapons are weapons, and supreme elixirs are elixirs. The last time I entered the treasury, an axe fell from the ceiling. If I hadn't dodged it in time, I think my head would have been chopped off. I'll be more careful next time." Chu Kuangren scratched his head and laughed awkwardly. "You?" Elder Ruyan shook her head helplessly. In the next few days, Chu Kuangren briefly dealt with some of the backlog of affairs in the Black Heaven sect. Among them, there was one thing that caught his attention. In the Firmament Nebula's barren path state, a few strange churches suddenly appeared. In just a few months, they had grown to tens of millions of followers, and there were even many experts among them. Chu Kuangren pondered. This was probably the work of those deities. Moreover, isn't the School of White Lotus located in the Cloudy Path state? Looks like I need to check it out. The School of White Lotus was considered an ally of the Black Heaven sect, and he still held the title of Supreme Elder of the School of White Lotus. The Cloudy Path state. The person in charge of this state was a 4th-level Emperor Realm Emperor. The first thing Chu Kuangren did when he arrived was to look for the Emperor and question, "How do you explain yourself when a church of a deity appeared in your territory?" The Emperor did not dare to be careless when he saw Chu Kuangren. He quickly explained, "Lord Heavenly Executioner, it's not that I don't care, but I can't. Those churches are secretly controlled by the Myriad Deity sect, and there are a few deities among them. I'm no match for them at all. Where are the heavenly honorables? Are they not here yet? Chu Kuangren frowned. Now, there are only heavenly honorable Su and a few other lower-level heavenly honorables in the firmament star. As for the other heavenly honorables, I heard that the front line of the extraterrestrial battlefield is in an emergency, so they can't come. The Emperor said helplessly. He initially thought that coming to Firmament Star to look after the deity's seal was a lucrative job, but now it seemed like things were not as simple as he thought. If he was not careful, the danger would be no less than the extraterrestrial battlefield. Did something happen in the extraterrestrial battlefield too? Isn't it too much of a coincidence that the deities are stirring up trouble at this time? Chu Kuangren muttered to himself. There were internal and external threats. The firmament star was really in a precarious situation now. He shook his head, took out a jade scroll, and contacted 7th Executioner to ask for his opinion on the church that had recently appeared. He knew that the other party was being held back by 2 higher deities. Once he made a move, the 2 higher deities would follow suit. He had not fully recovered from his injuries. If he were to fight against 2 higher deities alone, even with the heavenly punishment energy, he would not be able to gain much of an advantage. Hence, he could only bide his time for now. Chapter 671. In the demon world, the dark red sky never changed. Chu Kuangren went on a killing spree in the demonic realm for 3 days. Aside from the demon emperor Pride, who was nowhere to be found, the other 6 demon emperors were all killed by him. The entire demonic realm was terrorized by him alone. With that done, Chu Kuangren left the demonic realm. Behind him, countless demons trembled in fear. After he left, everyone looked as if they had just survived a disaster. This is too terrifying. This is simply a nightmarish 3 days. Since the establishment of the demon realm, there has never been such a moment. How can there be such a terrifying human? Of the 7 demon emperors, some are dead, and some have disappeared. The isolation of the entire demon realm has undergone a huge change because of a single human. Has the world become so dangerous? This person has been killing for 3 days and 3 nights. The experts of the demon world and the army were almost wiped out by him alone. If the demon world wants to descend into the world again, I'm afraid they won't be able to gather a decent army. Countless devils were discussing spiritedly, and there were still remnants of fear in their hearts. The other side. On a blood-colored mountain peak, Demon Emperor Pride stared at the entrance to the demon realm in the sky with extreme hatred in his eyes. As well as, a deep sense of fear. He hated it. He had witnessed Chu Kuangren's massacre for the past 3 days, but he did not dare to make a move. Instead, he hid himself well. Even if Chu Kuangren personally came to the imperial palace, destroyed it, and massacred his army and subordinates, he would not dare to make a sound or move. Because he understood. As long as he appeared, there would only be one outcome. That was death. He wanted to live. As long as he was alive, he would have the chance to take revenge. Chu Kuangren, you've trampled all over my dignity and pride, causing me to lose all my dignity. One day, I'll make you pay me back 100-fold, even if I have to pay a terrible price for it. Demon Emperor Pride let out a low growl that was stifling his anger. Terrifying demonic energy poured out of his body. The entire blood-colored mountain peak was reduced to dust in an instant. He gradually calmed himself down and looked into the depths of the demonic realm. His eyes flickered twice. If I want to deal with Chu Kuangren, I'll have to rely on the power of the deities. Hell is the demonic realm's greatest forbidden ground. Only there can I find an opportunity. Firmament Star, within the Purgatory Forest. Chu Kuangren stepped out of the entrance of the demonic realm. His white robe was still spotless, but his body was overflowing with murderous intent that was almost tangible. 3 consecutive days of killing was no joke. Chu Kuangren could no longer remember how many demonic creatures he had killed. 100 million, 200 million. That was no longer important. Most importantly, after this battle, the underworld would not be able to gather enough troops to invade Firmament Star in a short period of time. Just based on this point alone, Chu Kuangren felt that it was worth it even if he had to bear the heaviest amount of killing and the heinous sins he had committed. He's out? Such a murderous aura. How many has he killed? Oh my God, when the emperors saw Chu Kuangren walking out of the demonic realm vortex, their pupils dilated. They were shocked by his murderous intent. Murong Xian and the others, who had been waiting outside, were delighted. They were all relieved that Chu Kuangren was fine. Within the Purgatory Forest, Chu Kuangren frowned when he sensed that the demonic realm domain had not completely disappeared. He then raised his hand and punched towards the sky. With a loud explosion, the heavens and earth shook. This punch seemed to have hit some kind of barrier. The void exploded on the spot, and 7 black iron orders fell from the sky. The demonic realm domain instantly disappeared. Chu Kuangren grabbed the 7 iron tokens in midair. Is this the power that formed the demonic realm domain? Chu Kuangren fiddled with the iron tokens with a curious look. The names of the 7 great demonic emperors were engraved on the iron tokens, and they were engraved with mysterious Daoist patterns and surges of strange energy. It was a power that was completely different from the emperor's qi. Chu Kuangren was a little familiar with this power. It was as if he had seen it somewhere before. He remembered that he had once felt the same energy from the god of light and the god of darkness. Is this the so-called divine power? Chu Kuangren murmured. Divine power was the power that the deities used. He kept the 7 iron tokens and prepared to study them in the future. Besides, he had gained a lot from the massacre in the demonic realm. He would need to spend some time to organize them when he returned to the Black Heaven sect. Then, Chu Kuangren seemed to have thought of something, and a cold glint flashed across his eyes. Emperors, it's time to clean up this mess. His voice was not loud. But every emperor heard it loud and clear. However, the emperors did not make a move. Chu Kuangren raised an eyebrow and said coldly, "What? Do you want me to invite you one by one?" This time, his tone was a lot more serious. The sky rumbled, and a bolt of lightning exploded. It was as if the heavens were raging. The emperors could not help but shiver when they saw Chu Kuangren's murderous intent. They did not doubt that if Chu Kuangren really came for them, they would not have a good ending. Whoosh, 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 rays of light came from afar and arrived at the Purgatory Forest. Chu Kuangren, why did you summon us here? The emperor of the Qilin clan, Dark North Xianxia, snorted and said. Chu Kuangren's eyes turned cold as he raised his hand and unleashed a punch. The terrifying fist wind caused Dark North Xianxia's expression to change. He tried his best to defend himself, but he was still blasted hundreds of feet away. He felt a tightness in his chest and could not help but vomit blood. I asked you guys to come, but you're not willing. Chu Kuangren, don't be too presumptuous. What? Do you dare to object to my presumptuous behavior? Chu Kuangren said coldly. The murderous intent in Chu Kuangren's eyes gave Dark North Xian goosebumps. He felt like his scalp was about to explode. Dark North Xianxia stood rooted to the ground, his face extremely pale. I'm asking you a question. Are you deaf? Answer me. Do you dare to object? Chu Kuangren yelled. The emperors who came from all directions were shocked. Good Lord, an emperor is just short of being pointed at and scolded. Dark North Xianxia was extremely frustrated. He was still an emperor after all. He wanted to save face too. How could he swallow his anger in front of so many people? He gritted his teeth. I dare not. You're too quiet. Did you not eat? I dare not. Dark North Xianxia's face turned red as he yelled. He was afraid. The scene of Chu Kuangren slaughtering the demons and defeating the 7 great demon emperors was still fresh in his mind. No matter how dissatisfied he was, he could only swallow his anger. Beside him, Murong Xian was amazed. Only an emperor could be so frustrated. Only a sect leader could do such a thing. The other emperors were dumbfounded too. Chu Kuangren asked you a question, and you dare not? Where is your dignity as an emperor? Then, do you have any objections? Chu Kuangren glanced at the other emperors and said. Those who were stared at by him did not dare to look him in the eye. No, no. We dare not. Chu Kuangren had single-handedly suppressed the other emperors. Murong Xian and Lan Yu, who were also new emperors, looked at Chu Kuangren with admiration. Even Zi Wuji could not help but admire him. They were all new emperors, but why was the difference between them so huge? You're tuning in to the Unparalleled SwordWill YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.